team! Create team! Set! Hey!
Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome to the 8th and final day of 3 and Outs, 8 divisions in 8 days, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My goodness, you guys, it has been awesome. We have gotten through 7 days of this series. Oh yeah! 28 teams down, and we have just 4 more to go. I'll tell you, this has been a lot of fun. We have really made tons of progress in this entire series over the years, and this is getting better and better and better. So, today, we are finishing things off with the New England Patriots with our very own Beantown Brandon. We're talking Buffalo Bills with a very poetic Patty Backs. We're also talking Miami Dolphins with the sports fan who regions set no boundaries with Mr. Josh Ritter. And we're talking a much longer than usual segment, but it was so fit to conclude this series with Mr. Harrison Glazier. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, as we end it all with the AFC East. I hope you're ready, y'all. This is going to be a ball. I'll tell you right now, we are excited to finally close off this 8 divisions in 8 days with a bang, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy all of these guests here today. Once again, you are tuned in live to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, the conclusion of AFC Week, and the conclusion of 8 divisions in 8 days, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome, football fans. Well, here we go. I will tell you right now, this has been quite the awesome series, and I could not be more excited than to be bringing it to you here on a beautiful Friday afternoon. Quick little explanation for yesterday. As you can hear, I'm still not the best, but my goodness, this freaking cold came out of nowhere. Definitely not happy about it, but it's all good. For the awesome part about this show is everything is recorded from, earlier in the week or this past weekend, so I don't got to do a lot of talking, but we do got to get going immediately because these interviews are usually, all of them are about 30 minutes, but Harrison and I had quite the conversation. For anybody who knows me, I'm a football guy. I play football. I played 4 years in high school. I played, 3 in junior college, 1 at university. I mean, I play semi-pro football. I've been playing full-time since 2017. I'm a film junkie. I love discussing defenses. I love football. It's great. So Harrison is a lot like that. He's a football guy too. And him and I got to talking, and well, the interview went on and on, and 57 minutes later nearly, that's when I was like, oh yeah, we got to cut this. My bad. But it was a great conversation. So we got to get going as soon as possible because, that's going to take a lot of the time at the end talking Jets football. But enjoy, you guys. With that said, I'm going to go preserve my voice, and I'll see you guys in a couple of hours. Once again, you are tuned in live to the 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, conclusion of AFC week, and the conclusion of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days for this year, 2021, 2022, right here on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. We'll be right back to start things off with some Patriots talk with our very own Beantown Brandon of Titletown Sports Talk here on IE Sports Radio. We'll be right back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Matello, the host of the Yinza Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are. It is the conclusion of AFC weekend. Well, the conclusion of 8 divisions in 8 days, right here on 3 and Out. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great week. And, well, when you say the word great and football together, I don't really care what happened last year or what you think may happen this year. When I think of great in the last 2 decades since I've actually been a diehard football fan, well, there's really only one team that sums that up, and that's the New England Patriots. And with that said, you guys, we are starting today's show off with the New England Patriots, of course, and I'm excited because this dude right here just had his first show with IE Sports Radio last night. Kind of funny because I'm talking in the future. He's like probably listening to me on the recording, going, "I did," but yes, this show of course will be live on Thursday, July 29th. But this interview is being recorded on Sunday, July 25th. So. This is speaking, in the present, well, in the future, but he will have had his first show last night, if you're listening to this show live right now, or, because Wednesday nights is his show, so let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to have him here today. He is the host of our brand new Boston, finally got a freaking Boston show here at IE Sports Radio.
Yeah.
He is the host of our brand new Boston show, Titletown Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here for his first of many times, I'm sure, die-hard Patriots fan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again, IE Sports Radio family proud, Mr. Beantown Brandon. What's going on, Brandon? How you doing today, man?
Thanks for having me, Larry. What's up? Go Pat.
That's exactly why I wanted to get on the show, because that right there, go Pats. I mean, that's exactly it, man. So with that said,
Two decades of winning, brother.
exactly. And like I said, man, I've been like the diehard fan like since I would say the early 2000s. And like I said, dude, one of my first memories of being a diehard is a tuck roll. So I don't like you guys. I'm sorry, but
hey, not a lot of people love us, man, but that's because we keep winning.
hey, man, greatness is greatness, and I'm just going to say it. I know last year was a rough one. We're going to get right into last year, but I know it was a rough one, but and I get it. Brady did it without Bill, but at the end of the day, man, until Bill goes, that dynasty isn't over, in my opinion. I know the Brady-Belichick era is over, but Belichick's still there. So with that said, let's just go ahead and get into last season real fast. So first time you guys were not very relevant in a very long time. Go ahead and give it to us, man. Brandon, what was last year like? Give us every emotion through the season.
Oh, man. Last year, in general, was so many emotions, brother. First of all, to lose Tom Brady in the offseason, or prior to, heading into 2020 season, was a brutal loss for us. I still, literally remember everything I was doing that day, literally, I woke up, I was already going to work. I get to work, and then I get the Twitter, pop-up from Tom Brady say how he's not going to be returning to our team anymore, man. And I think every Patriots fan kind of sort of died, that day, man. It's safe to say that, or at least died a little bit inside. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this happening?
Yeah.
I was shocked, brother. I was 100% shocked. I'll never forget that day. And it sucked to lose, our quarterback of 20 years and stuff, especially when we didn't know at that time where he was going. But it was definitely something that we didn't expect, and left all of us Patriots fans wondering, what's to happen, what's to come, Is Bill leaving too? Shit, we couldn't even think about anything. And so after that, what happens leading up to the season. We we pick up Cam Newton, for cheap, which is good. Man, I mean, he's a MVP, Super Bowl appearance. He didn't win, of course, with Carolina, but, he's been there. He knows what it takes to, grind and, try to get to the top. And he's a good player, man. So I was very optimistic with Cam coming aboard. But we did lose, then COVID hit, and we lost, a lot of great defensive players, to Hightower.
Oh my gosh!
And we lost them to COVID list. We actually led the league in opt-outs, and it blew my mind. I was like, man, this first losing Brady, now losing a lot of people to COVID opt-outs, which respectfully, players have that choice, but it sucked for, as a fan. As a Patriots fan, wanting to win, it just did not feel good. And so, as we all know what happened eventually, and I don't have to keep going on about it, but, it was a 7-9 ending season. And we got swept by the Bills, my most hated team. Shout out to our New York friends. Yeah. My most hated rival, buddy. I'll never forget the 90s, but definitely, they got a good winner in Josh Allen, and that's going to be a brutal few years to go, man, or come, especially with our rivalry. And yeah, they kicked our ass. We literally lost some very close games. One to Brad's Seattle Seahawks, man. That was a fun game to watch. We almost came back. We were one play away from scoring and winning the game, but against his red hot Seattle Seahawks, man, Russell Wilson was just on a clinic, and and in KC, then Cam goes down for COVID, and leading to KC, man, they didn't postpone it, bastards, and they made us play, and we got our ass kicked because we had. Our backup, our third string quarterback in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was just bad, man, bad game and stuff. And as altogether, man, not to keep going, but altogether having a 7-9 season was very disappointing for us, Pats fans, man, and definitely don't want to go through that again this year. So we really spent this year Got him some great pickups. That tight end duo, man, Hunter Henry, Janu Smith. We drafted Mac Jones, Mac Daddy, my future. So I'm excited, man. We're looking up Bills. Looks like he's really putting a team together, and definitely shouldn't be a 7-9 season this year. And that's all we can hope for. But Larry.
Well, Brandon, I gotta tell you this, man. You guys had nearly your entire damn defense opt out, and no Brady at the helm, and you guys were still 7-9 and still pretty scary. That's what gives me every bit of don't write this team off, because now that everyone's coming back and Bill's had a year to like adjust without Brady, adjust to Cam and everything. And now of course you guys got Mac Jones there. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, man, this team, for anybody who thinks they're not the Patriots no more, they're freaking wrong. Because if you guys would have fallen on your face and went 2-14 and like, okay, well then yeah, you guys got work to do. But you guys were still in some very good games, and you were 7-9. I mean, that's not the greatest record, but I'm telling you, you had
possibly could have been 9 wins based on a few plays of different games.
Yeah. So if you think about it, still freaking potent. And I mean, you guys literally, this is like the Replacements. Remember that movie with Keanu Reeves? I mean, seriously, guys, like it was like the Replacements with the Patriots. I mean, you guys literally had a bunch of you guys literally won 7 games, could have been 8 or 9, with a defense that was a whole bunch of second stringers.
You know what, Larry, it was so depressing just thinking about it, man. All last year, every Patriots fan, including myself, man, don't want to go through that again. It was just, what a shitty year, man. That's one, I honestly say, for Boston sports in general. I mean, we have shout out to my other teams, and everything that's going on there. That happened last year to us. But with my Pats, losing Brady, the COVID hit, everybody in the world is experiencing that, and lockdowns. Then, your players opt out. You got a new starting quarterback who's no newcomer to the league. However, our book is like the hardest playbook to learn. And, in the new system, no OTAs, no off-season practices, no preseason. And we still come out 7-9. I mean, it's very disappointing for us, but I guess, like you said, brother, it's something I guess I should be sort of proud of, I guess. We still hang in there, especially with not a lot of, weapons, not a lot of talent that, played, and a QB that's just learning. So, yeah, I guess I got to look into the bright side of that, bro. But, it was a rough season for us, man.
No, it definitely was.
Well, I haven't, you know me, Larry. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Exactly, yeah. A very long time. So let's take a look at this year, though, man. So moving in more positive things, let's take a look here at the free agency, man, courtesy of overthecap.com, and we can take a look at some of the biggest key departures and key pickups. So let's take a look at a few things. Matt Judon, oh my gosh, heading over from the Ravens. You have Trent Brown, who was a Patriot before. He went to my team, the Raiders, for a couple seasons, and now he's right back with the Patriots. We have Van Noy, who, I mean, this guy was a Patriot, and it's like, it's hilarious because he goes.
Al Van Noy will always be a Patriot for us, man. And the fact that he went to Miami, played a year, and they let him go, and he just to come right back. I mean, we welcome him back in open arms. I mean, that dude's out there on Twitter. If you ever follow him, man, he's one of the greatest guys to follow. He literally hypes up our fan base, Pats Nation. Let's go. We're so happy to have him back. He's always been a big piece to us. His wife too as well, man. We love him.
That's awesome.
He's forever ours. Yeah,
he's awesome, dude. So Van Noy coming on back. You guys pick up Hunter Henry. Now I'm loving these tight ends, dude. Man. You guys got
Hunter Henry.
You guys got him.
Let me say this, bro. That's one of your teams, right? The Chargers.
I hate the Chargers. Go ahead.
You hate the Chargers, brother?
Yeah.
No, but still, I guess that's your buddy, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Hunter Henry, man, he was one of the rare tight ends I've always wanted to give for my Pats, man. And the fact that we got him, I still remember that day. I couldn't believe it because I remember we got the guy from the Ravens, right, Judon?
Yes.
And I was like, Janu Smith, excuse me. We got him, we picked him up. And I was like, okay, well, maybe we won't get Hunter then. And we wound up getting both, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I could not believe it, man. I was like, wow, our coach really did that. And we opened up our pocketbook, man, and to have him, like I said, I've always wanted him on my path, and now to have it as a reality is just amazing. He's also a huge, he has a huge relationship with Coach. I guess Coach really, out of him, a lot of tight ends, Coach really scouted him, I guess, all the way from high school, which is neat. And he's really good friends, I guess, with his high school coach. And he's always had a fond appreciation for Hunter as a player. So it was the mutual respect and, wanting to coach one another. Coach Hunter was there, and it was a no-brainer for him, he said. So that was cool for Hunter Henry to come.
Absolutely, man. But look at all these other players, man. I'm telling you, the departures, it's crazy. The departures and pickups are crazy. So Henry Anderson coming over from the Jets. You have Marcus Cannon. Marcus Cannon.
Henry Anderson. Oh, dude, I can't wait for him.
That's pretty sweet, man. That's pretty sweet. You have Henry Anderson coming over from the Jets. You have Marcus Cannon going from the Patriots to the Texans. Also, Jason McCourty, a big loss for you guys going over to Miami. You guys,
the brothers.
you guys will keep James White. Jalen Mills will head from. This is pretty big pickup. From the Eagles to the Patriots. Adam Butler goes to the Dolphins. You have Kendrick Bourne. I like this actually. Bjorn, I believe, coming over from the Patriots. Ted Karras Karras coming over from the Dolphins. I mean, really just some big moves here. So overall, I mean, you guys had some really cool pickups and departures. Nelson Aguilar heading over from the Raiders.
Like I said, brother, we spent.
Yeah, man.
That's one thing, talking to one of my friends who's a huge Cowboys fan, he's like, I never thought y'all would do that, spend. Open up the pocketbook and spend. I'm like, well, I guess I'm kind of desperate now.
Yeah, man. So go ahead and talk about some of these pickups. I know you already did a little bit, but I mean, who do you think was your biggest pickup and departure and why?
Biggest pickup, man. It would totally be biased, I'm sure, for me. But, I mean, I would have to say our tight ends, man. I would have to give it to both of them. Hunter Henry and Jadu Smith, man. I think they're very, I think they're very going to be a big part of this team this year. We're definitely going to go back to that two tight end threat, and that likes we haven't seen since Gronk and Hernandez. So,
yeah.
I am very pumped about it. Hopefully, it works out for us. And yeah, and our biggest, our biggest let go or walk away, will probably be McCourty.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean I'll be honest, brother. The brothers, the McCourty twins, have been a big part of our team. They love playing with each other, man, and on the same team. And to have them split up is going to be, I'm sure for them it's hard, but for us, we love them in Pats Nation, man. So I wish him all the best in Miami, and I'm sure he'll do good for them. And yeah, brother, that's got to be the hardest for me. So I'm just happy, like all the pickups we got and all the opt-outs coming back, which is great.
They really, exactly, man. I agree. And this team is still potent, man. Let's take a look at this draft real quick. Courtesy of NBC, of course, our Football Talk here on looks like NBCSports.com. But let's take a quick look at this, man. So first overall pick, of course, Mac Jones. I mean, you guys are so uncertain with the quarterback position right now. What a great pick, quarterback out of Alabama. Then Christian Barmore, defensive tackle out of Alabama, another freaking monster to help on that defensive line.
Two teammates, yeah,
absolutely, man. Ronnie Perkins, defensive end out of Oklahoma. A Sooner. I mean, that guy's freaking legit. I mean, you guys had a
Ronnie Perkins is actually, really shining in the off-season training or practices. So that's dope. I'm excited for him as well.
Me too, man. You have a very, honestly, I'm not going to go through the entire draft, but my goodness, man. I mean, you guys have a strong draft.
Our future, buddy.
You do, man. They really are. I mean, yeah, Ramondre Stevens, running back out of Oklahoma as well, and Cameron McGrone, linebacker out of Michigan. All I'm saying is, and I mean, Winovich is, out of Michigan, so I'm just saying those Michigan linebackers are pretty solid. So overall, man, this draft, I mean, like I said, I won't go over everybody, but give us your draft grade. What do you think this draft was and why?
Man, it was, it was one of the best drafts we've had in a while. I hate to go, realistically high. unrealistically high, whatever, just for the sake of it. But I'll give Coach an A-, man. I think he really had one of his best drafts that he's had in a long time. And Coach, one thing about Belichick, man, I mean, he drafts okay. He hasn't picked up the best people in the drafts, and a lot of them don't never pan out. But I think around Pat's Nation and around myself, we were really high on this draft, and that's amazing. And the pickup of Mac Jones, that was the biggest one for me, man, because I wanted a quarterback, and at least for the future, because Cam's not our answer. I mean, I'm all for Cam. I hope he does good for us, but, he's not our future. So that was the biggest thing, and the one I wanted the most was Mac Jones, and the only reason being is because, the connection that Mac has with, Alabama coach Nick Saban is, and he knows that him and Bill are very good friends. He's met Bill before. And to know that, it's the same harsh, style of coaching, or rough, you know what I mean, that he's used to, that's good for our quarterback. And then also he plays just as well in our play style. He's the style of Brady, like in the pocket, he has a great arm. And that's how I love watching my Pats play, man, more than, the run game that we were trying to do last year. And I'm excited, man. That was the biggest one I really wanted. Everybody else was just cherry on top and stuff. And, I mean, Ronnie Perkins, dude, I mean, I didn't expect that. And, yeah, Coach did really, really well for us. I'm excited to see these guys compete for the spot on the team. And, yeah, they're our future, man. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. So let's take a quick look here at the depth chart and see what you guys are looking like right now. So here's ESPN.com. So, of course, Cam Newton's still the man. Mac Jones behind him, looks like. Damian Harris, man, and Sonny Michel and James White. And now you have Ramondre Stevens. I mean, honestly, this is awesome. Pretty good running backs, as per usual. Jacoby Myers, as well as Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, all there. I'm not sure what the heck is going on with N'Keal Harry, but he's still here, so cool. Hunter Henry, at tight end, Jonnu Smith, as you mentioned earlier, awesome. Jacob Johnson at fullback, solid offensive line. Isaiah Wynn, remember him when he got drafted out of Georgia, freaking beast. Mike Onwenu, I believe, I'm butcher his name, but I know he's pretty solid. Trent Brown is back. Shaq Mason, not too sure about David Andrews, don't know too much about him, but regardless, overall, very good. You guys picked up also, like I said, Ted Karras, or Karras,
Ted Karras, yeah.
So, I mean, freaking great offensive line, I think, overall. And then you look at the defense, man. Lawrence Guy, David
Lawrence.
Gosh, I don't want to butcher his name, but I mean, I know his name is, he's a strong dude, freaking beastie dude. Henry Anderson.
We kept Lawrence Guy, extended him for a good contract. And then also our center, David Andrews, man. Yeah, he was a big piece for us as well, to extend his time and sign with us. So they're for the long haul, bro.
I'm loving it, man. Like I said, and then Judon, now you guys add Matt Judon, Bentley, Hightower, Van Noy. You have a freaking freakish defense. I mean, a linebacker core, and then your secondary. I mean, still pretty solid. I know there's one McCourty brother gone, which sucks, but Gilmore, McCourty, Phillips, and J.C. Jackson. Overall, I mean, this is still a very solid defense. You guys still have Kyle Duggar from when you guys picked him up a couple years back. And that was pretty cool seeing. I just love seeing. I really, really loved that seeing a non-big school guy, Lenore Ryan, man, freaking D2 school.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing. Seeing it's like Bill has, Bill can pick these guys up, man. So with it said,
I remember the Twitter conversation we got. But that was going on when we picked him up, and that's awesome, with Coach. Man, not go for a big school and to see some talent in this kid. Usually, that's kind of rooting for him, man. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
Absolutely, man. So, with that said, man, taking a look at all of these, everything. Now we're looking at the roster and the whole bit. Tell us, man, what are you thinking? What does it look like? What are you guys looking like moving into the season? What do you expect?
Oof, man. I expect better than last year, personally, brother. You know what I mean? I want a better than 7-9 season. I want to make playoffs. That's for sure. Something that my city and us Pats fan base, man, we're used to. And yeah, I mean, to go ahead and pick up everybody that we did, and strong draft, and two great quarterbacks, man. Mac Jones and Cam Newton. I expect better than 7-9. I mean, everybody should, and I trust Coach. I do trust Coach, man. He knows what he's doing. I think he's going to have our guys ready, especially with preseason and OTAs. Training camp's coming up, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, ours start on Tuesday, so that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. Let's see if I can do a premature. I'm hoping 13 wins, brother.
Hey, you guys look like you can do it still, so I'm with it, man. So with that said, we only got about 5 minutes left here. But, Brandon, it's time to talk some crap, man. This is a segment that I'm sure you're going to do great with, just because I'm not saying you're a crap talker, but I'm just saying, like, your personality is a lot like mine, which is fun. You can have fun with it, be mean, arrogant, sarcastic, and just mess around, but having fun with it, But at the end of the day, dude, you guys... at the end of the day, there are 3 teams in this division, 3 other teams that I know you can't stand, and they can't stand you right back. So, with that said, man, let's have some fun. And this is a little segment called Stick It To 'Em. So you can be mean and nasty, nice and respectful, or a combination of both, however you want to do it, man. Go ahead and let us know, all the listeners out there, how you think each of these 3 teams are going to do this season, and then, of course, tell us how you really feel about those teams. With that said, Brandon, stick it to them.
All right. Let's see. First of all, I don't expect much from Miami or the Miami Dolphins to do anything. They still got Tua, but I think he'll be a bust, and I'm not expecting much from him. And, so I see, they're going to be fighting for 3rd or 4th in the division, that's for sure. The Jets, probably 4th. I mean, I know they got the new quarterback, Zach Wilson, but also on top of that, they got his crazy, chaotic mom to go with it. And that's all a recipe for disaster. The organization's a disaster. Man, I don't expect much from them. So I would say they're 4th, Miami 3rd. Bills, my most hated rival, brother. I definitely want to beat them this year. I think we will beat them this year. I can't wait to take that crown back, especially that they took it away from us. And hope to break their hearts again, like we did for the past 20 years, man. And take to the top of the division again with 13 or more wins, and hopefully sweep them, man. I would love to sweep the season against the Bills. That would be dope. And I hate them. I hate them all. And, to our New York friends over there, brother, we're coming for y'all. Be ready. Go Pats.
I'm loving it. I love it. Let me sound the lightning and give you an applause. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, Boomtown Brandon, make sure you catch him. Once again, apparently here he's had his first show already because it's Thursday, but he's getting ready for his first show. So regardless of the time, whatever we got going on here, yes, Brandon will be hosting our brand new Boston sports show, Title Town Sports, and I'm really excited for that, man. So I know you are too. Let's have ourselves a great week here at IE Sports Radio, and it's kind of funny because this is the end of the week over here on the live show, so we're having ourselves a great week. So this is just too much fun, having fun with the time stuff. But anyway, with that said, Brandon, thanks again, dude, for being a part of this, man, and for having, for jumping on here and really talking about your, those Pats in detail and talking some crap and having some fun, man. So with that said, Brandon, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time today, and thanks again for making this network, making this network a lot better, man. So we appreciate you, and please let all these Boston fans know where to find you, man.
Yeah, Larry, first of all, thanks for having me, man. Like I said, this was a great time to do, and can't wait to listen to the other guys, man, and see what they have to say, try to, justify their positions in the AFC, but it'll be fun to listen to. But, find me or find our show at Titletown, IESR, at Titletown IESR, and Beantown Brandon. You can find me at Beantown Brandon. Awesome. And, brother, go Pats.
Go Pats. Well, there you go, brother. Hey, man, thanks again for being here today. We look forward to having you back very soon, man. Have a wonderful rest of your day, brother. Take care, and God bless, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Bye.
Take care. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Beantown Brandon. Great stuff, and yeah, this show is just getting started. We're going to have ourselves some fun moving forward. I mean, we already are. The party has begun in the AFC East. And it's just going to get crazier. So next up, we're talking to a diehard Bills fan. She is so excited to be here, and so am I. She may be a Hall of Famer, an iSports Radio Hall of Famer soon. Miss Patty Bax talking Buffalo Bills coming up right after the break. Once again, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, the conclusion of AFC Week, day number 4, AFC East, my goodness, there's so much to say. But with that said, y'all, we'll be right back with Buffalo Bills Talk with Patty Bax right after this.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Shores of the Puget Sound to the rushing waters of the Columbia River, stretching across the Great Cascades, and on IE Sports Radio lives the Northwest Territory Sports Show, hosted by me, Brad Buckingham. On this show, I cover all the great collegiate and professional sport teams that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Sounders, and even the Seattle Kraken. But I can't forget all of that is good in Oregon either. I got the Trailblazers, the Oregon Ducks, the Beavers, even the Timbers, and much, much more. You can listen to the show every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are with the second guest of AFC East today. My goodness, this week just flew by. It is the conclusion of AFC week and the conclusion of 8 divisions in 8 days right here on 3 and Out. My goodness, it is crazy to think that we are in our last 4 teams. We just have 3 teams to go to complete the entire NFL. But it wouldn't be a party without this next guest. And I am so excited to have her a part of this. She is officially, of course, I want to nominate her this year because she is absolutely everything that just a great listener and somebody who's just faithful to our station should be. So with that said, I will welcome her as an official IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame nominee for the class 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming Miss Patty Bax. What's going on, Patty?
Oh, Larry, thank you. Just call me Party Patty. I'm here to party and talk about my favorite team, the team I love so dearly, the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, well, that's awesome. You greatly deserved, and I'll tell you what. It's just a blessing to have you aboard. It's crazy. It's funny because you're like this really nice, sweet lady who like doesn't seem like you have anything mean to ever say. It seems like you're just really nice and helpful. And then you talk about the Bills, and you're like, it's like you transform. Like it's awesome.
Well, I like to say my mom comes through. My mom, I think she always secretly wanted to be a football player, but unfortunately she actually became a mother of 5, and she wasn't able to become a football player or have any kids who became football players. So I think my inner mom comes out in me, and she was always so passionate. She got me started on my love for the Bills, and I'm carrying through her legacy.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you right now. Your mother is all. Let's give her an applause button. Your mom, great lady. She's a great lady. That's what I'm talking about. That's 5 children. My goodness, that's tougher than any football player. Tougher than any football you'll ever play. I'll tell you that right now. 5 kids. My goodness. So.
Well, I'll tell you, you should have seen her watching a game and the language. I'm like, Mom, I never knew you could talk like that. She was passionate, and I think that's kind of putting it lightly. She was passionate.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, with that said, Patty, let's get on into some Bills talk and have some fun with these Buffalo Bills. Because I know last year you were just riding cloud 9 because this Bills team, you guys, for the first time in, I don't even remember the last time anybody else but the Pats won this thing. We have to go back, I think, double digits. But you guys will take the crown from the mighty New England Patriots. Yeah. I mean, yes, they were beat down because no Brady. Yes, almost all their defense opted out because of COVID. Yes, there are a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, I will never in a million years I will never in a million years say that, make an excuse ever. That this team, or that any team, doesn't deserve that crown. So let's go ahead and talk about last season real quick, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about every emotion, every raw emotion from last year. What were your thoughts on last season, all the way up into the playoffs from the Bills?
All right. Well, before I do that, I want to offer my sincere congratulations to you and your lovely fiancé. Kudos. I know this has been something you've been wanting, and I'm glad she said yes, Larry. I got to say.
Thank you so very much. She is amazing. She's actually in the other room. She is out like a light, but I wish I could bring her on over here right now to say hello. But yeah,
all right.
So
and the other thing I
much.
want to mention is I want to thank you for autographing the shirts that my husband bought me from you. And you put your beautiful autograph right on it.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm afraid to wear it, actually. I might just frame it. Because it's so awesome to be part of your podcast and all the wonderful ways you spread not only football, but you also spread spirituality and positivity. And I love that because that brings all the fan bases together. So before I just wanted to get that in before I talk about last season. And I'll tell you, last season was magical and frustrating at the same time. And because we couldn't have any fans in the seats to sit there and watch my seat on TV. And I wasn't in it. I was like just dying inside. I'm like, I've got to be there. And they would let us have little cutouts of ourselves, or I would have put myself as a cutout in the seat. But, it was interesting to watch a home game at home, and I wasn't there. That was really frustrating because the only time I ever missed one game in over 50 years that I've been going. And there was only one time I missed, and it was really hard to watch that. However, I was blessed to be able to go to the Indy playoff game, where we were able to come through victorious over the Indianapolis Colts, and it was amazing. We won that game 27-24. It shouldn't have been as close as it was, but I got to tell you, it was pretty darn exciting. And the really weird thing is that we had to be COVID tested, and I had gotten my vaccine. I was double vaccinated, but you never know. So, we went in. I was able to get one other seat. The person that I was going to take with me tested positive. Oh, no. So it was really very, very upsetting because that person wasn't able to go. We couldn't do the testing in time. So I went by myself. But my husband made me a sign with a picture of my mother and me at one of the games. And I put that sign in the seat that was supposed to be taken by the other person. And I'll tell you, I felt her spirit. I know she was there throughout the whole game. And we won, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Just to be back there was incredible, incredible. Unfortunately, I couldn't be at the next game where we beat the Ravens. It was another amazing game when Teron Johnson intercepted Lamar Jackson and ran back for that interception, that touchdown. It was crazy. And I watched it on TV, wished I could have been there, but because I went to the first game, I couldn't go to the second. So we were able to get, one step closer. We won't really talk about the Kansas City game, but what it did, is it identified what we needed to address in the off season, and that was our defense. And we needed to get bigger, more size up front. Here's Patrick Mahomes kind of limping around, and he's still able to make the passes. Our offense did okay. They scored 24 points, which maybe against the Chiefs isn't probably enough. However, we really needed to get bulked up on defense, and I think we did that this offseason with a lot of size in our draft picks.
Well, let's do that then. I mean, I love it. Great stuff. And once again, thank you so much, Pat, for all the wonderful things. And I'm really excited for, just for all these years coming forward with you being a listener. And I appreciate that. And with that said, yes, the Bills absolutely ran into a brick wall with the Chiefs. But at the end of the day, I think you guys did the right thing. So let's go ahead and get to free agency. Courtesy of overthecap.com. You had some big pickups, big departures. John Brown actually will be heading on over to my Raiders, so thank you for that. Also, Emmanuel Sanders, though, filling that void, heading over from the Saints to the Bills. We have here Bobby Hart coming from the Bengals to the Bills. Also, Quentin Jefferson going from the Bills to the Bengals.
Yep.
We have here, let's see here, Tynish, I always butcher his name, but big boy coming over from, going to the Cowboys, that is. Tyler Kroft also going to the Jets. Matt Breida was a huge pickup for you guys, coming over from the Dolphins. Also, Jacob Hollister coming over from the Seahawks to the Bills. Brian Winters, though, will be making his departure to the Cardinals. Lee Smith going over to the Falcons. So you can just see lots and lots of key pickups, departures, just all kinds of moves here. But I'm not going to go through all of them. But I want to know, who are your biggest pickups and departures of the season and why?
Well, you got to remember we lost Andre Roberts too.
Yes.
And that's a big loss. But I think that Isaiah McKenzie can step in as the punt returner. We also have someone that we picked up in the draft, Marquise Stevenson, who might be potential for our, playing special teams. He definitely could be. We could be looking at him. I would say another interesting pick you didn't mention, or a pickup, the key addition, is Mitch Trubinsky. And I hope he never sees the field. Because if he sees the field, that means something happened to Josh Allen, and we don't want that to happen. And by the way, with Josh Allen, he did something in history that's never been done before. I just got to do a shout-out. 4,500 yards, 35-plus passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns. No quarterback in history has ever done that. That's incredible. I got to say. I just got to say that. And, his accuracy went from 53%, 59% to 69%. And Jordan Palmer, who's been working on his mechanics with him and has some, looking at his analytics and how he can improve, is projecting that he's going to be higher than 70% accuracy. So that's incredible. And, some are calling him the MVP of this season. I'm all for it. So Mitch Trubinsky, I think, can bring a lot in terms of that knowledge and that experience to help boost Josh and to help offer support, especially in the sidelines. Sometimes people call him, he gets a little bit erratic. Well, that's decreased since, last year. However, I think Mitch Trubinsky can kind of calm him down a little bit. And I'm looking forward to that. I think I agree with you. I really was very sad to see John Brown leave. And I'm glad, I guess, he went to a team that you love, even though I don't love it, the Raiders. But I think, I really got to miss John Brown. But we are loaded at wide receiver. Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, I think, him coming over is going to bring a lot of experience. He's the thing I think that the pickups that we've got this year, plus the draft picks, have one thread in common. Well, two threads, actually. Competitive and versatility. I think Brandon Beane, when he looks at drafts and looks at bringing on key additions, he looks for versatility. Who can be a swing tackle? Who can play special teams in another position? So, we're always prepared. Preparation leads to better performance. So being prepared with these backups is going to make a huge difference. Hopefully, we're not going to see a need for backups, but we want to be able to have somebody step right in and not miss a beat.
Well, I completely see I love it. The shift of, of the experience coming from Trubisky. I mean, I really do see, the experience bringing. I see everything you're talking about. And honestly, it's all good, hopeful stuff for the Bills. I mean, you guys are wearing the crown right now, and I'm sure you guys want to keep it on your head. So, good stuff. And I want to get into this draft because, my goodness, like you said it, you guys added some monsters in the draft. I am so excited to see these two young men play in that Bills uniform. I mean, there was a guy that, was a Bill for a very long time. I don't know where he went or what happened. But there was a man by the name of Marcel Darius. Does that name ring a bell?
Oh, it sure does. I actually have an autograph from him. I met him in one of our away games I went to with my sister, and he signed a cap for me.
Oh.
I certainly do. He went down to play, I believe, with the Jaguars, and then I don't know what's happened to him since.
Yeah,
he had some issues off the field that got him into some trouble. There's a guy that had so much potential, and he just, I don't know if he didn't take it seriously or his work ethic, unfortunately, was questionable. And I think that, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, what they've done for this team, and they both signed extensions, by the way, they have brought incredible talent, commitment, resiliency, and work ethic. Players that are here, they understand the culture. That's critically important because, from from following the Bills or just, being in sports, we've had our share of, down years. Obviously, I went to all 4 Super Bowls. I went to London when the Bills played on my birthday, and they lost. I mean, I think when Ralph Wilson, God bless him, when he was still alive, I was expecting a phone call from him to say, please don't go to another away game. You're causing them. Every away game I went to, they lost. It started to get better.
Gosh.
So we've been down that road, and now it's our turn, the resurrection of our team. I mean, when you think about it, now you look back, to go to 4 straight Super Bowls.
Uh-oh. let's get a hold of Patty there. Unfortunately, we had a little blip there, but that does happen sometimes. Regardless, though, she was on a roll. So let's go ahead and get her right back, because I know that was she was getting real in the moment there. But with that said, y'all, my goodness, the passion, the desire you can see Daddy is a lifer with these Bills. I mean, seriously, it is awesome to see her love for this game. So, Patty, we got you back?
Yes, I'm back. I don't know what happened there.
That was really
I think
weird.
some of the Patriot fans tampered with the phones. I think they didn't like to hear the truth. I think that's what it was.
Something happened, but no, you cut for some crazy reason right after you were talking about going to those 4 bowls.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, Ralph Wilson was ready to call me when he was still alive and say, "Please just stay home. You're bad luck. You're bad luck." But I'm still going. Going. I did also go to the playoff game a couple years ago, and I don't know. This time I went to the playoff game last year and we won. So there's hopefully the tide is turning. The tide is turning, Larry.
I think so too. You guys are looking good, and it's exciting to see. So, speaking of Marcel what do you call it? Marcel Darius. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know if we've had dominant defensive ends there since him, and now you have 2 of them that I think can step in and play those roles. So, in the first round, you guys pick up Gregory Rousseau. This guy is an absolute freaking stud from Miami. I think he was really underrated. He fell kind of far into the first round, but regardless, the guy is, I think it's just needs, who needed what, but he fell right in your guys' lap, and this is exactly what you wanted. You needed that pass rusher to get after guys like Patrick Mahomes in the big games, and I think you guys got him. And if you didn't get 1, you got 2, because Carlos Basham Jr. is a absolute monster. I mean, come on, his last name is Basham. I'm just saying, that's freaking awesome. I mean, defensive end out of Wake Forest, another under-the-radar defensive end in my opinion, but my gosh, he is a stud. Another big-time player in the draft. Then you guys go Spencer Brown, offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. Good pickup. Tommy Doyle, offensive tackle out of Miami of Ohio. Regardless, you guys picked up some pretty solid players. I'm not going to go through everybody, but with that said, let's go ahead and talk about your draft real quick, Patty. How do you think you guys did? And if you want to go ahead and give yourselves a grade, you certainly can.
All right, Larry, I would definitely say in terms of size, we've got an A++. I mean, you look at Rousseau, 6'6", 266 pounds. You got Boogie. Now, what kind? Look at that name. You got to love him just for his nickname, Boogie Basham. 6'3", 281, and Spencer Brown. He is a freak. 6'8", 311 pounds. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's incredible size. And then we got another player, Rashad Wild Goose. Come on. What's a name like Wild Goose? I mean, this is amazing. He's a cornerback. He's kind of small. He's from Wisconsin. But you know what? With a name like that, we got to keep him on our team. I think, will any of these guys be starters? Probably not. But especially Greg Rousseau, he sat out last year because of COVID. I believe his mom's a nurse. And they actually, a little bit of behind-the-scenes information. His parents lived in Buffalo before he was born. Oh, wow. So it's kind of a cool connection there. So they were really, really excited to be picked by the Bills. But this guy's wingspan, holy cow! And the picture of him with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, I mean, it looks like it was photoshopped. That's how big this guy is. So I really don't know if they're going to make it to be starters. I highly doubt it. However, they can come in and give, Jerry Hughes a rest and just really be able to come in. I know that one of the things that I'm concerned about was stopping the run. Last year, that was a big, big problem. And hopefully we've got a couple run stoppers. Now we got Star Latulele, who opted out last year with COVID protocols. He is coming back. He's agreed to come back. He looks leaner. He looks more energized, more focused. So that's going to be really positive to have, another run stopper. If we can get that under control, we're well on our way. Well on our way.
I love it. So let's take a quick look here. And see your guys' depth chart and just have some fun with it real quick. So talk about this year and what you could be, what could be. So Of course, you guys, Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky is backing him up there, so awesome. Devin Singletary, awesome. Zach Moss, Matt Breida. I mean, seriously, you guys even have Tywan Jones, and my goodness, Tywan Jones, I haven't seen him in a long time. He was a Raider for a while, but yeah, I mean, you guys have a solid running back core. Then you guys, of course, Stephon Diggs, awesome stuff there. Emmanuel Sanders, Cole freaking Beasley. That's all I got. Mic drop, okay? Awesome. Dawson, I'm such a Cole Beasley fan. Dawson Knox, Reggie Gillum, of course. This offensive line is nice. Dawkins, Feliciano, of course, an ex-Raider. Mitch Morse, Cody Ford, Darrell Williams. I think it's a solid offensive line. Then look at this defensive line.
He just signed an extension, too.
Oh, that is awesome. And then you add a monster like Spencer Brown. I mean, my goodness. Okay. Then you have this defense here. Jerry Hughes, awesome. Okay. Boogie Basham, as you mentioned, the guy is right there. Ed Oliver, one of my all-time, I want him to be a Raider so bad. Ed Oliver is the absolute monster in the middle that you want. Mario Addison, Vernon Butler, Star Latulier. This defensive line is disgusting, and I love it. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. Then you have this linebacking core, Tremaine Edwards, A.J. Klein, Matt Milano. I'm loving it. Then the secondary, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Micah Hyde is the dude in this. I mean, I just got to say,
awesome. He's awesome.
He's the dude. He really is. And then Levi Wallace. Patty, this is a pretty stacked team through and through. Go ahead and tell us what you expect from this team this year.
Well, you forgot somebody who really, I talked about last year with you, Gabe Davis.
Oh, Gabe Davis, that's right.
Gabe Davis stepped up, and boy, some of those sideline toe tap catches were incredible. And another guy, Devin Singletary, you mentioned, if you've seen his physique, he worked out. He really took to heart having to bulk up and really improve. And another guy to look out for is Harrison Phillips. Defensive tackle, Harrison Phillips. He was a third-round pick a couple of years ago. He's incredible shape. He's dedicated the off-season to decreasing his body fat and just bench pressing, and he's going to be a stud. I would say, I mean, obviously, all fans want their team to go in the regular season 17-0. However, I got to be a little realistic. We might have, a loss or two, but I could say we could definitely go 15-2, 14-3 maybe. And but 17-0 isn't out of the possibility, especially because we got 3 home games in the winter in December that I think we could being at home with the snow, we could do it. We could definitely do it. So I'm excited. I've got my season tickets, and unfortunately, my sister, who would come with me, my sister Mary, who's my Bills Mafia sister, passed away on May 3rd, and now I have an extra seat, but I know she'll be there at every single game cheering the team on. So I'm excited to go back, and the love and support from Bills Mafia and from the team has been incredible.
Awesome. Well, this is a solid team, and my goodness, this has been a very, very good conversation, of course, and it's a very good football team, about a very good football team. I am so excited for this team, and I know you are as well. So with that said, let's do this, Patty. You are a diehard through and through. I know you certainly don't like 3 other teams in your division, as they don't like you right back, and you gotta love it. It's rivalry, and that's what it's all about. So, Patty, this is a fun segment we like to call Stick It To 'em. Tell us how you think those other 3 teams are going to do this season, and then, of course, tell us your real feelings about those 3 teams. You could be nice and respectful, mean and nasty, or a combination of both. Patty, without further ado, stick it to 'em.
All right, Larry, I'm changing it up from last year. I'm going to surprise you with something. And first of all I'm going to say is Patriots, Dolphins, Jets, who? And now I'm going to really give you my real feeling. With a poem that I wrote just minutes ago, I'm sharing it with you. Shake off the losses, off season, the snow and the rust. Winning the Super Bowl we know is a must. If we lose a game, no worries. We can't get too low. We've got all the tools, and we're ready for the show. Bills Mafia is the best fan base, bar none. Our team is awesome at passing and will be much better at the run. So let's start the season. It's time for football. That's the reason. Josh Allen is a rock star in more ways than one. Let's go, Buffalo, and start all the fun. Go, Bills!
That was freaking awesome. When did you write that?
5 minutes before I called you.
Oh my gosh, that was. There's not even no trash talking. She says, "I don't even need to care about those other teams." I mean,
yeah, there's no trash talking. My father was a poet, and I think I interchanneled him, and he came through, and I'll be right there in 5 minutes, and I'm ready to go. I'm taking a different approach. I'm going to be a little milder this year.
Love it.
Because I'm confident. And when you're confident, you don't have to trash talk because you got it. You just go with confidence.
Yeah, you know what, Patty? I couldn't have said that better myself. When you're on top, there's no need. What was it? What was that thing I heard one time Warren Sapp say? Or no, it was Michael. I think it was Michael Strahan. But the sheep, the lion does not. The lion doesn't care about the opinion of the sheep or something like that. Like.
Oh yeah, no, we got this. We got this. And I'll tell you, there has never been a more giving fan base. I mean, when Lamar Jackson got hurt, we were donating to his charity like never before. Anytime anything happens where Buffalo Mafia is called upon, we are there. The Mafia is there. For my sister, we're having a online raffle of Bills merchandise. And a shameless plug, tinyurl.com/RPCS 2021. You want to win some incredible merchandise. It was all donated. Autographed Sean McDermott picture, autographed Steve Tasker jersey, autographed Brandon Bean, autographed Daryl Talley. I mean, I got donations, autographed pictures. Harrison Phillips' mom donated about 9 pictures. Incredible autographed pictures. So it's amazing. We're a family. Bills Mafia's family. And we welcome new fans. We welcome old fans that want to come back. We're here. We're here for you.
I am loving it. Patty, that was amazing. I cannot wait to highlight that poem on like the tweets in a little bit. After the show, of course, on Thursday. That was a treat, and I hope all of our listeners loved that. I mean, wasn't that not awesome, you guys? Patty's like multi-talented. That was amazing. So with that said, Patty, it is awesome. It has been an honor having you on the show, and of course, just having you as a listener and as a fan, and we appreciate you so very much. I cannot wait to have you back on the show this season for Primetime Face-Offs when you guys are in primetime. And I cannot freaking wait. So with that said, Patty, thanks.
Oh, Larry, again. I'll be ready. I'll be ready with another poem, a victory poem.
I'm looking for that one. When's the first? I want to know when is the Bills primetime games. Oh, we'll find it. But oh my gosh,
there's several this year. Not enough in my opinion, but you know what? When you're good, you're good. You don't have to worry about being on prime time. That's okay. It's all good.
It's all good, right? So with that said, Patty, thanks again for being on today's show. You did an amazing job as always, and just like I said, great poem. And I look forward to having you back very, very, very soon. Thank you so much again for all the awesome comments and we just look forward to having you guys back. So God bless you and your family. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to having you back on the show very soon.
You too, Larry, and thank you for all you do for the football community and the sports community. You are the best, and I know you're going to continue to grow and be successful. And again, kudos to you and your fiance, and looking forward to having you here in Buffalo.
Well, we definitely appreciate the invitation. We definitely got to make our way up there, and thank you so very much for being awesome. So thanks again, and just once again, because you're always welcome here, and I guess I couldn't appreciate you enough. So thank you so much again, Patty.
Oh, thank you. God bless.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome, and God bless as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, Patty. Take care.
You too. Take care, Larry.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. All the
Bye-bye.
best. Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Patty back. That woman was awesome, and it's always great to have her on the show. And such a nice person, and yeah, diehard Bills fan. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 teams down. Wow, that is 30 teams so far. We have just 2 more teams to go before we finish off AFC week and 8 divisions in 8 days. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so dang excited for just for the season coming up. So with that said, y'all, when we come back, we're talking more AFC East. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC week, the conclusion of AFC week. AFC East Day right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' to NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Welcome back, football fans. Here we are, AFC East Day, the conclusion of AFC week, and of course of 8 divisions in 8 days. We finished up, we talked earlier with Beantown Brandon, the host of our brand new Boston sports show here at IE Sports Radio, Titletown Sports with Beantown Brandon. Then we talked, of course, we talked about his Patriots. Then we talked with Miss Patty and her Buffalo Bills. She had that awesome poem that she read at the very end. Pretty cool. She said that's from her father's side, of course. Very poetic. That was pretty cool. And, she talked some Bills. And next up, we're talking Dolphins with a awesome human being. This man, and I love it because it seems like exaggerating, but it's really not. This guy is over here running, 100,000 miles in Bingham Canyon, apparently, in a place I didn't even know existed in Utah. Okay, this guy is about as run gets, and it's amazing to know how he does it. Triathlons, you name it. The guy is literally a real life superhero, and it's amazing, at least in my opinion, because he's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, he is going to be nominated this year again, but regardless, nominated to the iSports Radio Hall of Fame, because I would love to get this guy in here. He is amazing. Every time I need him, he's there. Absolutely awesome dude. And he is from up north in Northern California and reps a team literally diagonal downward across the country. He's up near the Pacific Northwest on the West Coast and reps a team in the Atlantic Southeast, if you will, his Miami Dolphins. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here for his 18th time here on iSports Radio. Glad to have him back. The one, the only, the legend, in my opinion, himself, Mr. Josh Ritter. What's going on, Josh? How you doing today, man?
Hey, Larry. Thanks for having me. That's quite the introduction. Thank you.
Well, every time you come on, man, I love it. You definitely just bring a glow to the show, man, and you do a great job, and it's awesome having you, man. Talking football with you it's awesome. I really enjoy it, man. So thank you so much for being here today to talk about your Dolphins, man. And it's an honor. It really is.
I cannot wait. And I'm just coming off watching my Phoenix Suns play in the NBA Finals, and it's so cool to not have a break between my two major sports. I'm jumping right into the Dolphins, and I cannot wait.
Isn't it nice? Yeah, that's right. You're a Suns fan as well, and this is awesome.
Yeah.
Once again, I always ask you every year, but this is once again, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Ritter literally defies the usual, I'm going to love who's in my area. No, Josh Ritter is, a Miami Dolphins fan, I think if I'm not mistaken, a Florida Panthers fan, a Phoenix Suns fan, and I forgot who else.
Toronto Blue
Jays. So,
yep.
I love it, man. Like, you got teams all over the place, all over the globe, and it's just awesome, man. So I'm loving it. With that said, Josh, let's get right on into some Dolphins talk, man, because you guys last year, the Dolphins look like they're on the up and up. Overall, not the most ideal season because, no Lombardi, but regardless, you guys look strong, or you're getting stronger in a division that is it really shifting or is it not? Who knows? But it's incredible to see. So with that said, Josh, give it to us, man. How was last year? Every emotion as a Dolphins fan. How was last season?
Oh, gosh. Last year was a ride. It was so awesome to see a team that we weren't, as Dolphins fans, ready for this team to be super competitive yet. We knew it was a rebuilding process after 2019, and it was just one of those things where things kind of came together after a rough start at 1-3, where they went out to San Francisco, out in my area here, and blew out the 49ers. And you knew that this is a team. Like, we didn't expect this. That was a team that had been in the Super Bowl the year before, and I knew that they had some injuries. But to go to San Francisco across the country and absolutely destroy the 49ers 43-17 was the moment where you say, okay, this team's got something, but then they go home and they shut out the Jets, and you're just like, okay, this is a team that can play, and you start getting those expectations up, and you're not sure if it's okay yet because there's been so many rough years. But they went 9-3 down the stretch after starting 1-3, and they kind of got a little unfortunate in the sense that, if I had told you before the season there's going to be 7 playoff teams in each conference for the first time ever, and a 10-6 team won't make the playoffs, you probably would not have believed me. But unfortunately, that was our situation. There were a lot of really good teams in the AFC, and they were on the outside looking in due to some tiebreakers. But honestly, that wasn't the year that everyone was waiting for. Tua had been injured the year before and was a rookie and got thrown into the fire in the middle of the season. And, that was exciting. But, he had his struggles because, he hadn't trained and there was no training camp really. And he had been focused on rehab. So he just wasn't fully himself yet. And so none of us really had the expectation that, this was a Super Bowl team. But to see the growth of the team through the year and to see the Brian Flores kind of culture being built was what, for me, was the most exciting part of the season. They were starting to look like a team that was going to be super competitive throughout the next, decade, possibly with Brian Flores and Tua as he grows. So really excited to see what happens in the future. But, last year was one of my favorite seasons as a Dolphins fan, just from the potential standpoint and just overachieving what we all expected at the beginning of the year.
Yes. These Dolphins, man. I mean, Josh, every time the Dolphins, like really anything, but I can't help it, man. You're the first person I think about. I know a good amount of Dolphin fans, but man, I mean, your Dolphins it's incredible because you think of just the glory days. You can't help it. When you think of the Celtics, you think of greatness. When you think of the Lakers, you think of greatness. When you think of the big time teams that have always been, or at least legendary from what they've done, you cannot leave out, and I don't care who says what, when there were 14 games in the season, Don Shula took this team 14-0, perfect season, the only team to ever do it. You have guys like Zonk. Zonka, absolutely one of the most dominant running backs to ever walk the earth. You can't help but to think of those days. So it's like you see the Dolphins, and yes, they haven't been the best in the last couple of decades, but it's hard to think that they weren't that they're not at the top because of their history just being, or at least that one season being pretty darn good, and then overall they've been we talked about it before. Josh. Like we talked about how they never really missed the playoffs a whole bunch until the last 2 decades. They missed it for 7 years first, then they missed it for 8 years with those 2 droughts. But those have been the longest in their history, man, which is absolutely insane. Yeah. So the Dolphins are historically pretty dang good. So with that said, let's talk about coming up this year, man. I mean, like I said, I always think about you because I'm like, he's a diehard. He loves his team. So let's talk about the free agents, man, because there were some pretty cool things that happened here. So first things first, Jacoby Brissett. Tua is a beast. And, God forbid anything happens to him or anybody in the NFL, always the backup is good. And, of course, COVID and all this craziness going on, especially right now, it's time to stock up on, certain positions. And I think Jacoby Brissett is somebody you can plug in, and he can run with it. The guy is a pretty solid quarterback, so good stuff there. Unfortunately for you guys, and fortunately for the Patriots, Kyle Van Noy will head back up north to the Patriots. Then we have Shaq Lawson actually heading over to the Texans. Let's see here. Benardrick McKinley will head over from the Texans to the Dolphins. Eric Flowers going to the Washington football team. We have Justin Coleman coming over from the Lions to the Dolphins. It's really a lot of acquisitions. Ryan Fitzpatrick and Bobby McCain, both from the Dolphins heading over to the Washington football team. I think one of the biggest things ever, Jason McCourty coming over from the Patriots to the Dolphins. Just so many things would switch up. Will Fuller, I think, is one of the biggest pickups of the entire dang offseason. Of course, Adam Butler coming over from the Patriots to the Dolphins. Overall, man, there is a lot, and I'm not going to get into every one of them, but my goodness, there are still a lot of really big names that are on this list here. DJ Fluker being one of them. My goodness, coming over from the Ravens. I thought that was pretty big, and Duke Riley as well from the Eagles to the Dolphins. But okay, with that said, what do you think? Give it to us, man. So your biggest departures and your biggest pickups from this offseason, what do you think?
Well, I actually think our biggest departure and our biggest low-key pickup of the season match each other, which is the flip-flop of Bobby McCain for Devin McCourty. Mm-hmm. I think that one of the things that hurt the Dolphins down the stretch with a couple of those games was that they were the youngest team in the NFL. And I think bringing in a guy like McCourty, who knows Brian Flores' system from his days in the Patriots, and he's a little older. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick was the only guy over 30 years old on the football team last year.
Oh, my gosh.
And they need a little bit more of that veteran presence. And I think Devin McCourty is going to be a plug and play in that sense. I liked what Bobby McCain offered, but Bobby McCain was a little bit of a gambler in the back of the secondary and caused some problems down the field with us in the wrong times. And I think Devin McCourty will be a good stabilizing presence there. So I think that's an upgrade, even if it's not an athletic upgrade, because Bobby McCain's probably more athletic than Devin McCourty is right now. But I think just in being someone that can think his way through the defense, can be a little bit more secure. And we've got some young guys back there in Javon Holland, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. Mm-hmm. But, just having that veteran presence back there in the back of the defense is something that Brian Flores desperately wanted. And then, obviously, Will Fuller. The biggest problem I had with the Dolphins last year was their lack of speed at wide receiver. And when you add someone who is one of the top deep threats in the league to the drafting of Jalen Waddle, now all of a sudden we flip and become one of the fastest wide receiver groups in the league. And I think that's going to be a huge help for Tua. He's going to be able to get some guys that can actually separate and, give him some easier targets, which he desperately needed last year. So I'm excited for some of those additions and looking forward to seeing a more dynamic offense.
Me too. I like what you guys got. And, of course, you brought up Javon Holland. Well, let's go ahead and get right into that draft, Josh, because we have some good stuff here. In the draft, Jalen Phillips, of course, nice pickup, defensive end out of Miami. The guy is a natural monster, of course, coming from the U. Javon Holland, safety out of Oregon. You know him. I know him. I think we all know him. The guy is an absolute monster. I think, of course, you, being an Oregon fan, Josh.
Yes.
So I think you know a thing or two about this guy.
Love this guy. Yes. Love him. I think he's going to be a huge addition to the defense in a year or two. Obviously, it takes any rookie a little time to figure it out in the secondary, but he's a ball hawk. He's a hitter. He's everything that you want in safety, and I cannot wait to watch him play. Probably my favorite draft pick, although I am a little biased because of him being from Oregon.
Hey, that's not an issue. You guys have every right to feel this way. I think for the Dolphins fans who aren't Oregon fans, who don't have that bias, they should know too, like, this is not just some guy that's a second rounder. Like, I'm a Pac-12 guy. I mean, this guy is a solid guy. Well, we both are, but, this guy is solid, man. You're right. Everything you need him to do, he does. He's the utility man. Like, he does everything. Like, seriously. Like, if you told him, hey, Javon, line up at the 3 technique and play some defensive line, no problem, coach. I mean, seriously, you know what I mean? Like, you don't care. Like,
yep, he would do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's that guy. I mean, I don't care. And he may get driven backwards, but he'll freaking come back the next time harder than ever. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, he, to me, is just that guy who wants to play football. That's what he does. He plays football. And I love it because he's going to be there. I really think this is huge. And in a couple of years, you're right. We're going to say, yeah, Javon Holland is one of the, up and coming safeties. And who knows, within the next 10 years, he could be one of those names where, like, yeah, he's one of the premier safeties in the league, and he's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, I love what he brings, really.
He's got the same kind of makeup as one of the other safeties we drafted recently, Minkah Fitzpatrick, except you don't have the whiny attitude that Minkah had. So hopefully it'll work out a little better than that one did.
Oh, man. Well, Minkah definitely a beast, but yeah, I know what you mean. But next up, Liam Eichenberg, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Good pickup. Hunter Long, tight end out of Boston College. Larnell Coleman, offensive tackle out of UMass. And just a couple more. Jared Dokes, running back out of Cincinnati. And I don't really see who else. I think there's supposed to be another player here, but I don't know what happened. But it's courtesy of Pro Football Talk at NBCSports.com. I don't know who your 7th pick was. But regardless, I think right now you guys, man, are just a solid – those are pretty solid drafts. So talk to us about that real quick, Josh. Tell us about the draft and give us a grade if you'd like to.
I really did enjoy this draft. We had a lot of capital going in. And I think one of the things I like about this draft is that I really feel like they did what they thought was the best player available at the time. There was a lot of pressure in the fan base to take that second first-round pick and make it Najee Harris. And I'm not going to lie, I might have even been in that group that would have been very happy with him at 18. And, getting Jalen Phillips, who's probably the most talented defensive pass rusher in the draft, he's got some injury concerns, with his concussions. But if those are okay, he was the best pass rusher in the draft. Looked a little bit Jason Taylor-ish, although I don't want to put that pressure on him. But he's got that same kind of body frame and bend to him that Jason Taylor had. And we don't really have somebody that can win a one-on-one battle before him on the defensive line. And we really desperately needed that. We had to kind of scheme our sacks through blitzes and things like that. And Jalen Phillips is a guy that can just win. And they really needed that more than they needed the running back position. As much as a lot of the Dolphins fan base is pining for number one running back, we have a guy that can do it in Myles Gaskin, and it wasn't that much of a priority that we needed to place it a number one draft pick on it. And I really am excited about this kid's potential. He does have to stay healthy, not get concussions. So that's always a wild card. But if he does, I think he's going to be a plug-and-play starter. And, you know, they traded up for Liam Eichenberg, and if you look at the history of tackles from Notre Dame, they just plug and play, and they're just really, really, really solid. And our offensive line was super young last year and needs time to develop together, but by no means was it a finished product. And adding another tackle to that rotation and giving us the opportunity to have depth and see who's the best competition in training camp. That's probably my favorite part of training camp, will be seeing how the offensive line comes together. So lots to be excited about in that draft. Having that many picks definitely helped. But there's a lot of potential there. So as far as the draft grade, I have to say, based on the potential, I'm going to give it an A-. I don't like to give A drafts before they happen, because then you get egg on your face when guys don't work out. But I really loved on draft night what it looked like when their plan came together. Haven't even gotten into Jalen Waddle, who I think is extremely dynamic, and before he got injured was the best receiver in college football. So I'm really excited about him.
I think so too. You have every reason to be excited for them. I mean, let's take a look at this depth chart now, man. Courtesy of ESPN.com. We have here, of course, Tua Tagovailoa starting up. Next up, behind him, Jacoby Brissett. Running backs, Myles Gaskin and Malcolm Brown. Solid. Running backs, Devontae Parker. Jalen Waddle, of course, solid. What happened with William Fuller? I know he's suspended, but what happened?
He got caught using PEDs, and he served the first 5 of his 6-week suspension at the end of 2020 with the Texans. So he's got 1 game left. So he's only going to be out for the first game of the season, and then he'll be back. Okay, well, good. He'll be back. But yeah, William Fuller, great wide receiver there. Mike Gesicki, of course, talked about him before, the volleyball player. Good job here picking him up. The guy is, made his way into a starter. Offensive line, Austin Jackson, Solomon Kinley, Matt Skura, of course, Robert Hunt, and Jesse Davis. Not too bad. And once again, don't forget DJ Fluker's in the mix. Liam Eichenberg is a youngster in there. Michael Dieter, Cameron Tom, Jermaine Elminor, I don't want to butcher his name, but I mean, there's actually some good talent here, some good depth as well here. Then we look at the defense, that 34 guessing game defense. Christian Wilkins, Raquan Davis, and Zach Seiler. I don't want to butcher his name either, but there's your defensive line, solid. Jalen Phillips, Bednarik McKinney, Jerome Baker, and Emmanuel Ogba, solid linebacking core. And then your secondary, Xavier Howard, Eric Rowe, Javon Holland, and Byron freaking Jones. That's where he went. I don't know why. I was like, he disappeared. Where'd he go? But nope, he went from the Cowboys. He's the guy, of course, who jumped out of the stadium a couple of years back in the Combine and with all of his jumps. And here he is now, a part of this secondary. And it's like they already have Holland as a starter here on this depth chart. I mean, that's amazing. So let's take a quick look at this, though, man. What do you think personally now that we've gone over at least the starters here on the depth chart, went over a little bit of depth, what do you think this team could really do this season, Josh? Well, I do think that they're going to be a better football team. I think that they probably overachieved in 2020 for their talent and their ability to host. They took advantage of some weak schedules and got to 10 wins, but they probably were closer to an 8 football team last year. Credit to them that they play hard and they were able to scrap a few games together that maybe they shouldn't have had, like that game against your Raiders. You remember that game very well.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
But, I think they could actually be a better football team this year. but not necessarily have a better record. I do think that they can get to 11 wins, which would be half a game better because there's an extra game this year. So I'm my benchmark for them is 11-6 and making the playoffs. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that they can achieve. If they go better than that, or if things break their way, I do think they have the talent to get better, but that would require, of course, Tua taking a humongous leap, which I do think is possible. But I don't want to put that on his shoulders yet. But they do have more talent, and they've been together for a couple of years now with that coaching staff. I think they're going to be better, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to translate into a ton more wins. I mean, when you start from a 10-6 base, there's not a lot of room up from there unless you're one of the elite teams in the league, which they're probably at least a year away from. But they can definitely compete for a playoff spot. I think they should be competing for a playoff spot, and anything less than that would be a huge disappointment for me.
I completely agree. They look like they should be, and yeah, I mean, that's where they should be, honestly. So with that said, Josh, this is, of course, always one of the funnest parts of the entire segment because, well, it's its very own little segment called Stick It To 'Em. Now, earlier today, we talked to Brandon, of course, gonna say some angry things about the rest of the division. Patty just read a poem about how good her Dolphins are and how she has all the faith in them. I'm sorry, how good her Bills are, and how well her, how much faith she has in them this year, what they're gonna do, which is pretty awesome. So, not a lot of crap talking, but then again, Brandon did lay it out there enough to where he could have probably filled Patty's plate as well with crap talking because he's had some of course some tough things as a New England fan, but. And then, of course, we got the Jets left here, so haven't gotten our Jets interview just yet. So we're putting that one together probably sometime this week. I'm trying to get Mr. Harrison Glazer of the Show That Never Sleeps podcast here on iSports Radio to do that one. And, of course, he's probably going to weigh in and say some, maybe some unkind things as well. Who knows? But maybe, then again, I don't know, respectful, disrespectful, however you want to do it. So, Josh, do the dang thing, man. However you want to do it. If you want to be mean and nasty or nice and respectful, gentleman-like, however you want to do it, or a mixture of both. What do you think, Josh, that the rest of this division is going to do this year? And, of course, tell us how you really feel about those other three divisions. Josh, stick it to him.
I'm going to give it straight. Well, I'll start off nice and finish not so nice. I do think the Bills are the best team in the division, and I've got nothing but respect for what they're building down there. I'm not 100% sure that Josh Allen is going to be consistently one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL for the next decade. I think there's still some holes in his game, but he's flashy, and he's definitely grown more than I thought he would. I was on your show when he was in the draft process saying that I thought that his lack of accuracy was going to kill him, and I was proven wrong. He's impressed the heck out of me. I'm not sure if I believe in his consistency yet to be in that Mahomes kind of Rodgers discussion, but nothing but respect for what the Bills are building, and they're the best team in the league, in the division right now. And then I'll just say there's no reason to even bash on the Jets because they bash on themselves. So they're just going to continue to be the Jets, and I don't know what they saw in Zach Wilson at all. I thought he was overrated, and I was praying for months that the Jets would draft him. So I was very appreciative of the fact that they took him. Good luck with that. But I want to talk directly to Patriots fans. For years, I listened to Patriots fans during Tom Brady's heyday tell the rest of the division how dumb they were for going out and overspending in free agency for marginal players and how their team doesn't do it that way, that they're smart, that they built through the draft, and how great their team was. And now we see everyone this year thinks the Patriots are going to be so great because what did they do? They went out and they spent $100 million on a bunch of decent, okay, kind of second-tier, kind of backup players. And they think this is going to put them back in this conversation. You have Cam Newton and Mac Jones as your quarterback, and you got a bunch of nothing at receiver, and you got like 8 tight ends. Good luck with that. I am so looking forward to the Patriots fans watching their team fall flat on their face for the second year in a row and become what the rest of the division has had to deal with for the last 2 decades. I cannot wait for that. So that is, other than watching my Dolphins play, I am so looking forward to watching the Patriots underachieve and be under 500 for the second year. Good luck.
Oh, my goodness. Josh Ritter, ladies and gentlemen, just sticking it to him. Josh does not hold back. He does not care. No, Josh is a honey badger. He gives no Fs, everybody. I mean, seriously, that's just Josh for you. And I love it. I mean, great stuff, way to weigh in, man. And I am so dang excited for all of this football coming up this year. Josh, as always, brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for giving some time here today. I know you're a family man. You got a lot going on, man, so we're going to let you get on out of here. But thanks again for being on today's show and for letting us the time. We appreciate you, man, and I look forward to having you back on 3 and Out this season.
Definitely. I appreciate you too, Larry. Thanks for letting me come and get myself really hyped up and primed for this 2021 season. Go Dolphins.
It's going to be awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. And let everybody know, man, let all these Dolphins fans know where they can find you on Twitter.
You can find me at Josh Ritter 13. My tag is NorCal Fin/Suns fans. Got to give my son some love, and look forward to having conversations with all of your fans and especially your other AFC teams. I'd love to have those conversations.
Oh, they're so much fun. So with that said, Josh, thanks again, brothers. God bless you and your family. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Larry.
Hey, it's bye. Take care. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Ritter. Stuff, man. I love having that guy on the show. He's awesome. Awesome. Every single time, the guy is he's all over. He's on fire, and I love what he does. So with that said, y'all, that will do it. We have one team to go. 31 teams down and one more team to go in AFC week and in 8 divisions in 8 days. Next up, we are talking gangrene. The New York Jets take flight, ladies and gentlemen. So, on the other side of this break, we're talking, like I said, those New York Jets. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC week, the conclusion of AFC week, AFC East Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we are. He's actually the final interview of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week on the actual show itself on AFC East Day at the conclusion of AFC Week. And it's kind of funny because this interview is being recorded last night, which was July 28th. Kind of crazy because since, he, of course, is the final interview, so I'm doing the final touches to the final show right now. I guess the final touches are the weigh-in, which, of course, will be coming up right after this. But the final interview, so my goodness, of course, I did the Raiders today, so of course I count myself as a true diehard fan. So it is incredible to have talked to all these awesome diehard fans. 31 of them, I guess 30 if I count talking to myself or just sharing my stuff about my own team, my Raiders. But 32 if you count me as just interviewing myself, or 31 total true diehard fans, or 32 in all, like I said, or 31, however you want to go about it, have been through this show in the last 2 weeks. Day number 8, the conclusion of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week, AFC East Day. We're concluding with the AFC East this week. And man, as he said it right now, he jumped on right. He's literally fresh off of the Show That Never Sleeps podcast here on IE Sports Radio, along with Mr. Pierre Moss, his co-host, which was also on this show 1 week ago. Since his team is in the NFC East, the days always the region always corresponds together, AFC, NFC, so whatever day it is. So every year, no matter what day either of them get picked up, or whichever either of them go on, because depending on who wins the Super Bowl. Last year, of course, this past season, the Bucs won, so the NFC goes first. But it's kind of funny because both these guys go, their turn is just 1 week apart from each other. So last week was Pierre with the NFC East, and today we have his co-host with the AFC East. Ladies and gentlemen, here to not only conclude AFC East Day and AFC Week, but to conclude 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, I bring you one of the most hardcore Jets fans, literally next to Fireman Ed. I mean, this guy knows his stuff. He is a Jet through and through. And, well, I'm excited for the entire thing, including the Stick It To Him segment, because I know he's going to land to the other teams. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming die-hard Jets fans. He is the co-host of the Show That Never Sleeps podcast here on IE Sports Radio, along with Pierre Moss, talking all things New York sports. The owner of Take Flight Media, the host of Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast, and of course, all around diehard, also co-host of Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan podcast. The guy is great, man. He's an educator, a teacher, much like myself, except for he's actually a teacher now because a sub right now. I'm getting my credentials. So he's actually been in the beast doing it. And what can we say, man? The guy's great in every way, and I'm glad to have him here today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming, of course, the one, the only, Mr. Harrison Glazier. What's going on, Harrison? How you doing today, man?
Oh, man, I love it. That was a great intro. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Appreciate all the shout-outs to all the things I do. Yeah, I got the Jets podcast, the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast on YouTube. I got my own company, Take Flight Media, Jets reporting and writing. As you know, I do the New York Sports Show with you guys. A lot of other shows I'm on. I love it, man. I'm a hardcore Jets fan, like you were saying before. As hardcore, as really everybody is. I mean, there's a lot of hardcore fans out there, but I love it. I mean, I'm a big fan, big analyst, big sports guy. I can't wait to talk about them Jets.
All right, well, we're glad to have you here. We can't wait to talk to you, man. This has been such a blessing that we've been able to do this show and just keep it going. And absolutely, man. And please plug everything, of course, at the end as well, and just keep it going, man. For all of your stuff, you definitely do a lot, and you're very, very recognized in the podcast world, man. We're glad to have you a part of the iSports Radio team as well. So, with that said, Harrison, absolutely, man. So, with that said, brother, let's go ahead and get into those New York Jets. Final team, man. This is the 32nd team, of course, of 8 divisions in 8 days. And, well, Harrison, it's like what you told me when you first got on the interview with me right now. I guess you got to save the best team for last.
You got to save the most promise, man, because there's promise, there's potential. It's exciting. Things are moving in the right direction. And it's just so exciting to see.
It really is, man. So we're not going to keep you. We're going to try to keep this right around 30 minutes, between 20 and 30 minutes. I know you're a busy guy. You just did the show Never Sleeps podcast. Like I said, you're fresh off of that right now, and I know you got your fiance, you got your life, man. We know you got a lot of things to get to. So let's go ahead and just go through this interview and talk about. We're going to start things off with free agency. Now, I haven't even seen your guys' free agency, so this is courtesy of OverTheCap.com. Let's take a look at some of your biggest departures and pickups of the offseason. So first things first, LaMarcus Joyner. I just talked to Raiders today, and, well, there's a departure. He's going to you guys. You guys will keep Jameson Crowder. Henry Anderson heading over to the Patriots. Morgan Moses coming over from Washington. Sam Darnold, as we know, is going over to the Panthers. Brashad Perryman going on his way to the Lions. We have here Corey Davis coming over from the Titans. You guys will keep Alex Lewis. Brian Poole actually heading over to the Saints. So just all kinds of moves here and there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different moves going on. But with Jets free agency, the biggest things they did by far was bring in a guy like Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson is a massively, massively underappreciated edge rusher. And I was even guilty of it myself. When, I was first looking into the possible edge rushers that were out there, I was only looking at the sack numbers. And if you only look at the sack numbers for Carl Lawson, they look kind of pedestrian. 5 sacks, 5.5 sacks. But when you look at everything else, when you dive into the player, he's as a lead. He produces as well as anybody. Last season, he had 64 QB hits. That's 4 times the guy hits a quarterback a game, minimum. 64 QB pressures, 32 QB hits.
And T.J. Watt had 15 sacks last year. So my big take on Carl Lawson is a change of scenery, kind of similar to like what we saw with Shaq Barrett when he was with the Broncos and was always the great player he was, grading high in PFF but wasn't producing high, but was always playing well. Then, goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and a light goes off. So, man, I feel like Carl Lawson is the best edge rusher the Jets have had since John Abraham, which is like 20 years. It's been a long time since Jets have had an edge rusher. And another big signing they also brought in, and ironically their second biggest signing, and on the same night they signed Carl Lawson to a big contract, and then they also signed Corey Davis, a legit wide receiver 1. And Corey Davis is also an exciting
leaving, he was supposed to be the wide receiver 1 potentially, and he wasn't even close. Like, that dude ended the season with like a 50% drop ratio. He dropped like half the balls that came to him. It was bad. But Corey Davis is a legit upgrade. Corey Davis was the 5th overall pick back in 2017 because he was incredible in college. In college, he still holds the record for the most receiving yards ever with like 5,200 something, and second most touchdowns with like 52. He was incredible. And in the NFL, he took a little time to, year in a contract year, he was amazing. He was close to having almost 1,000, and he looked like that true wide receiver 1. The reports from camp have been that he's going to be that wide receiver 1. That he, is ready to step into that position, and he definitely could do that. Another interesting acquisition the Jets have brought in is Keelan Cole, because Keelan Cole looks to also be one of the starters right now. Many thought it would be Denzel Mims, but for the longest time, Keelan Cole has been running with the starters. And there's a whole thing on it. If you guys, again, want to check it out on my website, takeflightmedia.org, wrote a whole article on it. But there's a whole reasoning behind it of how Cole actually fits better in this system. And apparently Joe Douglas has been trying to acquire him for 2 years from the Jaguars. So he's just as much Joe's guy as Mims is. So a lot of good stuff in free agency. You mentioned Morgan Moses. I mean, that was more recent. That was amazing. I mean, you shore up an offensive line with one of the best right tackles in the NFL. He's been one of the best right tackles every year for like 7 years. And he had his best year last year when he had an 80 overall PFF grade, an 86 run grade. This dude is like a beast in the run. He's big, he's strong, but he's also quick, he's fast. What's amazing about him, and I found a video of it online, it was the reasoning because everyone was saying when they signed him, oh, maybe he'll play guard. Maybe he'll play guard. No. You watch this guy. I have a video online of him dominating T.J. Watt. Dominating and holding at bay elite edge rushers. So him, Mekhi Becton together, AVT on that line, it's built up. This last draft we had, man, it's exciting.
It really is. And my apologies, everybody. For the quick audio issue, there was a little blip there. I'm glad you just kept on doing your thing there, Harrison. Small little blip. My Bluetooth speaker died for just a few seconds, and then I had to plug it in real quick, but I had you back on speaker, so it dropped a little bit lower. Lost a little tiny bit of what you had in the very beginning there, but you were just heating up, Harrison. We got you back, and you sounded great, but my apologies to everybody in the chat room and everybody listening right now for the little audio blip. And my apologies to Harrison, but we got you back, and we got a really, really, really big chunk of everything you were saying, man. I guess a small little piece of it was lost, so my apologies for that.
Yeah, no worries, man. And you mentioned free agency. Like, I went through a lot of names, a lot of big guys they brought in a lot of key positions, really spent money because that's what Joe's going to do. I mean, in free agency, people wondered back in 2020, why was he not spending money? Why was he, only doing these one-year prove-it deals, not really spending? It's because it was about long-term success. It's the reason when Joe came in, he demanded a 6-year deal. And I love this guy, man. I've been a huge fan of Joe Douglas for a while. Everything he does, just from all the years of incompetent GMs who don't know what they're doing, making all the wrong decisions. Man, he came in and he just started checking all my boxes. Then I learned that, the biggest thing with Jets GMs is we couldn't draft. We came from 2 GMs that couldn't draft and tried to build teams through free agency. Well, we finally have a guy that can draft. And this last draft, man, I mean, poof. If you look at it just like the potential of it, like the franchise quarterback, potential Pro Bowl guard, superstars in Elijah Moore, all the depth we took at defense, this draft class could, obviously not yet, they haven't played, but it could go down in history as one of the best Jets draft classes ever. And it's just a great class, man. Like, I go back to all the players, even the ones I didn't have on my board. I love them. I love every single pick in this last draft.
And I'm telling you, man, you should be hosting the show instead, Harrison. You're segueing perfectly, man. Beautifully, may I add. Right into the draft. So once again, my apologies for a little audio blip, but Harrison always makes it worth it, and it sounded great no matter what, man. So, but you got the gist of what he was saying, and great stuff there. And yeah, right into the draft, number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson from BYU. The guy is a stud. I know you talked a lot about him already, man. And in the Show Never Sleeps podcast, and I definitely want you to talk a lot about him coming up. But real quick, we'll go ahead and just go through the rest of them. Elijah Vera Tucker, as we mentioned, big monster out of USC. I know a thing or two about this young man because, well, I'm a USC fan, so you guys got a heck of a tackle going, or a heck of a lineman going over there. Elijah Moore, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Good pickup there. Michael Carter, running back out of North Carolina. Jamian Sherwood, safety out of Auburn. Michael Carter II, safety out of Duke. Jason Pinnock, corner out of Pittsburgh. Let's see here, like Hamza Nuruzdin, I don't know his name, but safety out of Florida State. Brandon Eccles, corner out of Kentucky. And Jonathan Marshall, defensive tackle out of Arkansas. Please elaborate as much as you possibly want to. The floor is yours, Harrison. I know you're a big-time draft guy. What value do you see in each of these guys, and what roles that they're going to play when they jump on into the Jets this season?
I appreciate that, man. And I'll go through them pretty quick because I could talk for hours on each one of them. But Zach Wilson, man, that was my guy. I do my own QB eval. When everyone had moved on from Trevor Lawrence, when we didn't have Lawrence anymore and everyone just rubber banded back to Sam Darnold, that made no sense to me. I didn't understand why people, had moved on from him as the quarterback, but then were so willing to just accept him again when they couldn't have Lawrence. It caused me to dive into, more QB eval of the other prospects. I just love Wilson, man. He checks every box that I look for when it came to NFL translation, not just, that deep ball. It's a joke I make in my QB eval. I have a whole podcast dedicated to explaining my eval. That's what everyone usually talks about. Oh, he's got a great arm. He does a great deep ball. Well, 90% of the guys in the NFL do that. When it comes to things like pocket awareness, readability, throw, with touch and putting it in perfect windows, he checked everything I looked for. He was the guy I wanted. I feel like, the same reason people moved away from Sam Darnold was the argument was, if they put a good team around him and if they give him good coaching, maybe he can be good. Well, yeah, maybe he can be good, but he's not going to be great. He's not going to be a top 5, top 10 consistent quarterback in the NFL. Well, I truly believe Zach Wilson can be that. This guy I just fell for. I even said at the time, back in December, when everyone was talking about Fields, I was like, I don't get how no one sees this as the second best quarterback in the draft. In fact, in certain things like pocket awareness, his ability in the pocket with anticipation, mobility, readability, I think he's better than Lawrence in that aspect. So this was the kid I wanted. This is the quarterback I wanted. Man, it is just perfect. What do we do next? We trade up He is the best offensive lineman, arguably, in the draft. I mean, next to Penei Sewell, you could argue he's the best offensive lineman. And he was the best interior offensive lineman by far. People questioned, we had to trade up 2/3 to move up for him. Well, yeah, you're trading up for an NFL-ready plug-and-play Week 1 offensive lineman and the best interior guy in the draft. That he was supposed to go 10 to 15. That's where he's going to go. I even said that back on draft day. I was live on Web and Top. I pointed out the show we do. We were live on the draft. I was saying, man, if the Jets are going to get him, they had to trade up to where the Cardinals were, the Chargers. That was the range, 13 to 16. And that's exactly what they did. Right when they do it, I went nuts because I knew that's who they were taking. And you pointed out how good he is. The best way for fans to think about this, the Jets drafting AVT is equivalent to when the Colts drafted Quentin Nelson, when Washington drafted Brandon Scherf. That's the quality of interior offensive line you're getting. And you just took your quarterback, so now you're protecting him. And you protected him last year by getting his blindside tackle that should have been a Pro Bowler in Mekhi Becton, even as a rookie. Now, Elijah Moore, man, the numbers are ridiculous with Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was, without question, the best slot wide receiver in this draft. He had over 1,500 yards in the slot the last 2 years, more than anybody. Second in all of college football in receiving yards this year. He was arguably the best wide receiver, period. Even on the Jets now as a rookie, he's probably the best route runner on that team. He has potential superstar all over him. I thought back to the last time the Jets took a player of his potential, a first-round guy that had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. I had to go all the way back to 1996 and Keyshawn Johnson. Man. That's how far I had to go back to realize the potential of wide receiver we have and more. And then what did the Jets do? People were like, we traded away our 2 third-round picks. Well, the running back they got in the 4th round should have gone in the 3rd round. I mean, hell, he could have gone in the 2nd. I was saying through the whole draft process, because, as we talked about, I do my own draft eval. Everyone's talking about Javonte Williams. I'm like, why is no one looking at Michael Carter? Michael Carter had just as many carries as Javonte Williams in 2020, though he had more yards and a higher yard per carry. Michael Carter was arguably better than Javonte. I felt he should have been a 2nd-round pick just like him. Made no sense to me. So he was an absolute steal there. Then from there on, they take 6 defenders. With the next pick, with those first 4, they got their franchise quarterback of the future, a Quentin Nelson caliber offensive lineman guard, a potential superstar wide receiver, a running back 1, in my opinion. That's what Michael Carter is. He probably will be the starting running back most likely, and he was a 4th-round pick. Now, all defenders. And you mentioned all those safeties. 2 of them are linebackers. Joe Douglas is implementing that Keanu Neal type, that hybrid linebacker position. This is going to be an ever-changing defense. People who thought, watching Adam Gase try to fit a square peg into a round hole and never change anything and never adjust, man, this is going to be the opposite. You're not going to know if that linebacker's dropping into coverage, if he's blitzing. You don't know. It's all interchangeable players. So guys like Hamza Nasruddin, guys like Jamie Sherwood, that were safeties, they're going to be playing linebacker. When you plugged him into linebacker, especially Nasruddin, I had a whole article on Nasruddin. He's one of my favorite picks. He could be the biggest steal of this draft. Nasruddin was projected to be a 2nd or 3rd-round pick originally. The fact that he fell to the 6th is crazy. It was because of injury that he fell so far. But when he played, he had 192 tackles in just 2 years, basically almost 100 a season. And he's a big hitter. He's strong. He's huge at 6'4", 220, and he's great in coverage. He's going to be excellent covering tight ends. In fact, I would go as far to say next to C.J. Mosley, Nasruddin is probably the best coverage linebacker on this team right now. So, and then you mentioned all the other guys. Michael Carter, he's an excellent slot cornerback, potentially could beat out Javelin Guidry because they let Poole walk. This is a very, very talented team. In this draft, man, like I was saying, it was a fantastic draft. There's other picks too, guys like Jason Pinnock, who I think is massively slept on. That guy could be an excellent outside corner. One of the most just interesting facts about him that I found out. I didn't know much about him when the Jets drafted him, so I did a little research. One of my favorite corners in the draft was J.C. Horn. I loved the kid. I was like, he's the best corner in this draft. And the Panthers proved it by taking him 8th overall. Well, the biggest claim to fame was that he had the 3rd lowest completion percentage against of any cornerback in all of 2020. Well, guess who had the 1st? Jason Pinnock. Jason Pinnock, a 5th-round pick, had a 3% lower completion percentage against than J.C. Horn. And in other categories like completion completion percentage again since 2019, he actually grades better than Derek Stingley Jr., which is just insanity. Like, this kid's totally slept on. The biggest knock on him in college was, he gets beat over the top by speed guys, beaten by speed guys. But, yeah, I'm a big ACC guy. I watch a lot of Pitt. I have friends who are big Pitt fans. Anyone who watches Pitt will tell you, just like Rebus was, their CBs are on an island. That's how it works. There's no safety help over the top. Either you make it on your own or you fail on your own. That's how it works. So, of course, a speed guy is going to beat him. He's a 4'5", 4'5", 40, 200-pound corner. He's like Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall would get smoked by a speed guy, too, if there wasn't safety help over the top. So I'm really excited about his potential. Can I mention Michael Carter? Brandon Eccles could be a good sleeper. In the last round, they took a defensive lineman who also has potential. Man, this was an outstanding draft. Joe Douglas has gone out and just, again, nailed free agency, nailed the draft, put us in a position to succeed.
What I love about this, Harrison, is you never disappoint, man. I mean, you bring it every time. You always have amazing facts to back it up. And you're absolutely right. Jace Horn was a gosh dang monster. And to think, okay, that this young man, okay, what do you call it, Pinnock, to think he was Jason Pinnock, to think he was actually just nearly as good, okay, out of Pitt. And Pitt's defenses have been consistently solid over the years. So, to think, I mean, it's really cool to spot that out. Then I just want to take a look at this depth chart and get into the depth chart, man, because my goodness, look at this. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't like a trash team. A lot of people like to say, it's just the Jets, it's the Jets. Okay, we get it. We understand, okay? The Raiders were the Raiders, the Jets were the Jets. The Jaguars were the Jaguars. We get it, okay? We understand that they've historically not has been as good as they've been bad. We get it, okay? We totally understand.
It's the narrative, Larry. It's the LOL Jets narrative. They're always throwing that at us. It's always been that way. The Jets are low-hanging fruit. And it turned into, where I guess a couple of people over the years obviously make fun of the Jets over the last decade or so and how bad they are, and people jump in. But it's ridiculous even if you think about it, because, the two things, I point this out, it's so true. People say, they're not making fun of the Jets. Well, the biggest thing they say with the Jets is, they can't win. They can't win. They haven't won since, 1969. They can't win. They have one Super Bowl. Well, the Detroit Lions have no Super Bowls. They are one of the oldest NFL franchises ever. They're back from the 20s. And not only do they not have a Super Bowl, they don't have an NFL championship. But they don't crap on them like they do the Jets. Like, you don't hear any negative the same way you do toward the Jets. Now, the other rhetoric with the Jets is, the quarterback carousel. They can't figure out the quarterback. Well, the Cleveland Browns have gone through 20 quarterbacks in the last 10 years. They've gone through infinitely more quarterbacks than the Jets. So for some reason, the Jets are just targeted. They've been the low-hanging fruit. People who say it's not true, I give those facts. Obviously, for some reason, they've become the target, but that's changing. Joe Douglas started that culture change. Again, from the top, everything trickles down, making the right decisions, the right trades, bringing in the right people. The Johnsons made the right decision in finally giving him the keys because our power structure was so screwed up because I don't know if you remember, first McCagnon was here, then Gase came in, so the Johnsons decided to be this overseeing factor above them, and it turned the power structure into non-existence, and it was insanity. So it's back to the way it should be. The GM has control. Robert Saleh works with him. Well, I love our GM. I'm excited about our head coach. Like you said, we're bringing in all these great players. Those people that are still crapping on the Jets, they're going to learn very quickly. This is not the same team they saw last year.
Well, I agree. And there's a couple of reasons why. I look at this depth chart, and I say, we see Zach Wilson. Awesome. Let's see if this shiny new quarterback can make things happen. Then we look at guys like Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman is actually a pretty gosh dang solid running back out of Indiana, okay? Then we look at guys like Corey Davis. Corey Davis, a couple years back out of West Michigan, he was on that monstrous freaking Western Michigan team, okay? So, great athlete there. Denzel Mims. We're forgetting this young man out of Baylor. Their head turner at Baylor, okay? We see Jamison Crowder. Okay, he's really built himself in the NFL out of Duke. Okay, Chris Herndon out of Miami a couple years back. Then we look at...
Chris Herndon could be a surprise cut, just saying.
Well, that would be crazy, right? But I'll tell you right now, this offensive line is such a... I hate using this word now because I feel like everyone uses it, but damn it, it's interesting. And why? What sparks interest? Because there's so many variables that can be moved around. Mekhi Becton. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is like 6'8", what is he, like 340, 364. Remember last year out of Louisville, this big old monster clocked a 5'140". That is absolutely freakish for a guy his size. Okay? Amazing. We have him. Okay, you have him at left tackle. Elijah Vera-Tucker. We just talked about him being drafted out of USC. Okay? We have Connor McGovern.
And the stats are AVT are amazing. You said you're a fan. AVT's pass blocking grade in 2020 was 92.8. That's insanity. Like, they're perfect. He was also the best run blocking and pass blocking guard, period, in the Pac-12 the last 2 years.
See how dominant? Just do their homework. That is absolutely, clearly you do too, Harrison, but absolute dominance, okay? I love that. Then you put him next to a guy by the name of Connor McGovern. He has really come into his own, okay? I'm not going to say he's a Mangold yet, but my gosh, this guy is pretty solid out of Missouri. He has been a pretty good, he's built himself into a pretty dang good center. Greg.
Well, he's okay. I mean, Connor McGovern is Connor McGovern's kind of on my shit list. He's got to earn my respect back.
Okay. Well, I would say the guy. He's definitely no slouch, though. He definitely is no slouch. He can block. He's not horrible, but I get it. He's not premier, and I totally understand.
Well, here's the thing with Connor McGovern. So, like last year, everyone's big claim to fame was, the second half of the season, he was a top 10 blocking center in the NFL. That was everyone's big thing, which is true. But his grade was like a 69.8. That's still not great. But for the beginning half of the season, he was one of the worst centers in the league. So I don't like that inconsistency. Like you talked about, I'm a big center guy. Like the years of Nick Mangold. You look at all the centers the Jets have: Field, Schmidt, over all years. The center to me, he's the leader of that offensive line. That's why I wanted guys like Creed Humphrey. I was so excited on. I like guys like Mangold that are film junkies that dissect the play. They're like a second quarterback on the field. They make adjustments and misalignments themselves. I mean, Nick Mangold probably adjusted the play more than Sanchez did.
Yeah.
So I mean, McGovern has a lot to prove. I mean, with the talent on this new line, again, you got three studs. You got Becton, who was my guy. Like everyone was talking about, Andrew Thomas works. Like, no, Becton was my guy. Like I'm talking about big in ACC football. I just loved this kid. Like he is the real deal. Like he should have been a Pro Bowler last year. Like it's a travesty that he wasn't. He should have been as a rookie. We talked about AVT, Morgan Moses. Those are three studs on that line. McGovern just has to, look okay and not too bad. I mean, the second half of the season, he was good. So he's got to look like that. So that's the hope that he can be good. And then the right guard is another interesting thing with the Jets right now. Right now, Van Rook looks to be the starter. But my interesting take has been give George Fant a shot. Fant's never played guard before. He's always been a tackle. But this system requires a lot of pulling, especially from the guards. Fant's one of the most athletic offensive linemen in the league. I'm not saying give him the job, but I say give him a shot. Let him and Van Roten battle it out in camp.
Absolutely. And see, here's and I love how you pointed him out, Van Roten. George Fant, of course, a solid 6'5" player, by the way. Let them go head-to-head. That's awesome. But here's another thing. You have a guy on the other side at tackle, 6'6", 318, Morgan Moses. Now, why am I bringing up height? Because all the years of football that I played and watched and still playing, usually your tallest offensive linemen are always the tackles. Reason being is because they set the freaking edge. You want big, long... It's kind of the same exact way why you want a tall first baseman. Longer limbs, the ball gets to him faster. That's all there is to it. So big, long limbs, big, long bodies make for pretty solid tackles usually. So you have a guy like Becton, who is 6'7", freakishly tall. Okay, pretty tall. Then you have Morgan Moses, 6'6". Okay, then you have a guy that I don't know how you feel about him, Harrison, but if you want to, you can please let him come to the Raiders any given day if you don't like him. But you guys drafted, I think it was a year or 2 years ago, a young man out of, once again, I'm a homer, USC, Chuma Edoga. He's 6'3", okay, 308 pounds. In my opinion, yes, he's a tackle, that's his position, but he's 6'3". Why not try him? Let him get in those battles for the guard positions or even center. I mean, I don't know how good he is as a snapper, but I'm just saying, let him try to get in that interior. I mean, overall, I just feel like you guys have a solid core of offensive linemen that could actually be in a good rotation. What are your thoughts on that, Harrison?
No, I completely agree, man. And that's the whole point. Like I've been saying this, everywhere, every podcast, every opportunity I get, because this is exactly the point. We're arguing over talented guys. Well, this guy's talented and this guy's talented. Who, is going to win the job? That's a great problem to have. For so many years with the Jets, it was, there's nobody who's going to step up and be the guy. Now it's we got all this talent, like a wide receiver too. It could be Keelan Cole or Denzel Mims' job. Both of them are super talented. It's exciting. For the first time, we're seeing competition between high-caliber players, which in competition always breeds more success. So I just love it. Like I said, this is a great, great, great problem to have, that we're debating, we got all this talent, who's going to start?
Isn't it? It really is amazing. And so I'm saying, the Jets are no one to sneeze at, as Taryn would say. I really do feel that, this offensive line is pretty solid. Then we look at the defense. We haven't got to the defense yet. Look at the four big boys. You guys run the traditional 43 attack defense. Carl Lawson, solid. Okay? I think he's pretty dang solid. Sheldon Rankins, okay, pretty solid. Quinnen Williams, okay. I mean, overall, he was one of the best interior defensive linemen, or interior defensive linemen coming out a couple years back. You guys picked him up. And then Vinny Curry. He's been around a little bit, but you know what? The guy's solid, okay? But regardless, you have you have some good depth here behind these guys. But regardless, you know what? That's not a horrible defensive line. They're pretty solid.
The defensive line looks great, man. I'm so excited about this defensive line, incredibly excited. And kind of when you look at that, you dissect this team. Like I mentioned, on my company's website, at Take Flight Media. On Twitter, I post a lot of the media conversations, interviews. When Mike LaFleur was interviewed, he literally said for the offense that the running game is the most important aspect. It opens up the ability for the play action, the deep pass, and same thing retrospectively with the defense. This team is going to do well or fail based on that defensive line, because a Robert Saleh defense is all about getting to the quarterback. Right. Every year he's been a head coach, going back to 2017, all of his teams always ranked top 5, top 3, top 10 in the NFL in getting to the quarterback every single year. Even last year when they were without Bosa and Ford, they were still top of the league in quarterback hurries, because that's what this defense is built upon, getting consistently in the backfield, disrupting the play, taking the pressure off of the cornerbacks, which is why, so many people talk about the Jets being weak at corner. Well, if their defensive front is great, it makes up for it. And man, that defensive front, you mentioned Quinnen. Dude, Quinnen last season had 7 sacks as a defensive interior guy. That was 4th amongst all defensive interior linemen. Even a lot of people, I think it was one NFC executive was interviewed. He said Quinnen's going to be amazing this year. He said even last year he wasn't used properly in that 3-4 system. Now in this 4-3 and the one-tech, being able to play inside like that with another interior man, he's going to eat. He's going to eat, and then he's going to keep eating. And same thing with edge rusher in that 4-3. And you look at the numbers, like I pointed out before, he could have that 10, 15-plus sack season. He's got that ability. He really, really does. You look at all the other numbers other than his sacks, and they jump off. You mentioned Vinny Curry. On my podcast, actually, it was pretty awesome. I got to actually have 2 Jet players. One of them was John Franklin Myers. He came on, if you guys want to check it out. I had him on for an exclusive interview. He talked all about the defensive linemen on that team, how great Lawson is, how great Foley is, how great they all are. But when he got to Vinny Curry, he said that Vinny Curry has the fastest get-off that I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, whoa. That's a compliment. And the guy's getting up there. He's 33 years old, but last year at 32, he had 10 quarterback hits. That would have ranked 3rd on the Jets, and that would have been really good. So I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I think him and Lawson can make a great edge combination, but you also got Bryce Huff, who I'm super, super high on. I think he has a lot of potential as a 4-3 defensive end. I also had him on my show. He was the other exclusive interview. He talked about how his whole career he played as a 4-3 defensive end. He always played with his hand in the dirt. And when he had to step up to outside linebacker, it was harder for him. He had to transition. He had to get used to it more. He's destined to play this role. he's a 4-3 defensive end. And in the interior, we talked about Quinnen. You got John Franklin Myers. He can play on the outside or the inside. Last year on the interior, he was amazing. He was second on the team with quarterback hits behind Quinnen. He was excellent. And then you still got guys like Foley Fatukasi, who's one of the best up-and-coming run blockers in the NFL. You got Sheldon Rankins, who you brought on, who could potentially really step up. So, man, this defensive line it's stacked. It is literally stacked, and it's exciting to see because you mentioned before this defense is predicated on getting to the quarterback. It will be made or broken based on how consistently and how often they can cause pressure. And I am very excited about the potential of this defensive front.
You and me both. I'll tell you right now. I love how you brought up Quinn, and this is just defensive lineman talk because, damn it, that's what I play. And you know what? No, the 34 is so it just goes down to personnel. And I could say
it does, yeah. Like if you're in the 3-4, you remember like Damon Harrison, like old snacks on the Jets. Like that's the kind. Chris Jenkins, you remember Chris Jenkins, Sione Puha. Like that's the kind of guy Vince Wilfork. Those are the 3-4 defensive nose tackles you want. Like Quinning can do it, but man, he's really, and same thing with Franklin Myers. The two of them can really eat from the interior, and when you have a 4-3 like that, it opens the door for natural edge rushers. So like guys like Lawson, Curry, man, I think Lawson, Curry, Huff from the edge, you got all those guys on the interior. Franklin Myers can play both. Man, it is exciting. It is just, like we talked about before with the linebackers, the safeties playing linebacker. It is a hybrid defense that is really interchangeable. Like, good luck preparing for it.
Absolutely, and yeah, a guy like Quinnen Williams, now you throw him at the 3. I think he said he's playing the 1 or the 0, which of course depends on the flex or wherever they're at. But I mean, my goodness, still, you put this guy, right over the ball, and not right over the ball, but inner leg of the guard, or throw him in the gap, or put him right on the inner leg or the the leg of the center. You put him in any of these gaps, any of these techniques. Or you even, if they shift, I mean, they can run an underfront, overfront, regardless. You throw this guy in that 3 technique as well. Him and really Sheldon Rankins, any of these guys, regardless, I just feel like that 40, of course you have to have really fast linebackers, which we're going to right now. But I just feel like that 40, you're absolutely right. There are certain guys cut out, gets to be that big plug in the middle. But overall, man, this 34, that 43, now you're going to use Quinnen Williams as he really should be, I believe. And it's going to be insane to see this guy run free. So,
and a lot of people speculate, that's the beauty of the defense. And that's what, again, it's the opposite of what we saw last year with, forcing things. It's going to be completely versatile. Salah's going to do, something insane, which is scheming to the strengths of his players. He's going to use people properly to their strengths and scheme against other teams. So, like, for example, a lot of people say we could run a 4-2-5 because we have a lot of, good safety play. And guys, you mentioned like LaMarcus Joyner. He was another acquisition in free agency. When we brought in Joyner, the first thing that PFF pointed out was that he played slot corner the majority of his career. And he wasn't that good at it. But when he exclusively played free safety, like only played free safety in the NFL, he had a PFF grade of 90.1. He was an excellent free safety. So that was the big question. What's he going to play? Jeff Ulbrich, the DC, confirmed that he is exclusively going to be playing safety. So he excites me because him and Marcus May could potentially be, that May-Adams combination that fans were hoping for.
Absolutely, and this is going to be a lot of fun to see. So, looking at these linebackers now, we have a guy like Blake Cashman, C.J. Mosley, Jared Davis. You have some pretty solid backers here. What can you tell us about your linebacker core right now? What do you like? What do you not like? Tell us about these guys.
Well, that excited me a lot because, again, going into the draft, everyone's big thing on defense was like, we need corners. And I was like, hold on, guys, slow your roll for a second. And I had a whole take on it on YouTube. I was saying we got Bryce Hall, who last year in limited time looked like a CB1. As a rookie in limited time at the end of the season in a bad system. He was in a bad system in Greg Williams' system with Adam Gase as the head coach, and he still looked like a CB1. You got guys like Bless Austin. They want to draft they did draft corners. But at linebacker, my big feeling was, before the draft had happened, C.J. Mosley was a question mark, whether he wanted to accept it or not. We're hoping he comes back at the level he was at 2019, and if he does, he's going to kill it. Like all the takes on him have been, that everyone knows he's, a top 5 linebacker in the league. Even Bart Scott said people are going to remember who he is. If he comes back at that 2019 form, which he says he's at, all the interviews and, the media stuff I've seen, he says he's there. In fact, actually today, he actually says he's better. He actually said he thinks he's better than he was in 2019. So that's going to be interesting to see, but still a question mark. We haven't seen it on the field. And guys like Gerard Davis, we picked him up like Sheldon Rankins on a flyer. We gave him a cheap deal. He got a cheap deal because he was kind of a bust for the Detroit Lions. I mean, call a spade a spade. He was really bad on the Detroit Lions. So there's no guarantee that he was going to be good. And Blake Cashman, I mean, he's a sneeze away from the IR. Blake Cashman has never played a full season ever in college or the NFL, just ever. So I like the kid. He's got a lot of potential at 4-3 outside linebacker. He's not staying healthy. He's going to sneeze too hard, and they're going to take him out in a stretch. But unfortunately, I hate to say it, but he's always, even in college, he's never played a full season anywhere ever in his life. So as much as talent as he is, I don't count him. But I said that's why in the draft, I wanted the Jets to get 2 linebackers. Because if Mosley can't go and Gerard Davis can't go and Cashman gets hurt, there's not a linebacker on that team. So the Jets went out and got Jamian Sherwood from Auburn and Hamza Nasruddin from Florida State. And I think Nasruddin has more potential. Like I said, that kid was a second, third round pick. Wrote a whole article on him. Love him. But I think Sherwood's excellent too. The big thing on Sherwood is this dude hits people. Like when I say hit people, like he murders people. Like my favorite quote from Jamian Sherwood was when they interviewed him, and he basically said, my motto is, how do you stop speed? You hit it. He said, you can run a 4-1, but when you hit a wall, that ends. I was like, oh my God, make me a t-shirt. Like that's a t-shirt right there. You can run a 4-1, but when you hit a wall, that ends.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the truth, man. It does not matter. At the end of the day, with a bigger body.
And he murders people. So he's going to be just like people had Jamal Adams. He's going to be a wrecking ball. Like Jamian Sherwood's going to take people out. But Hamza Nasruddin, like I said, has excellent potential in coverage. Really, really good player. Gerard Davis, they're saying looks good. But again, the pads are just going on now. And same thing with Mosley. He says he's ready, but the pads are going on. So we're going to see. We're going to see in training camp. We're going to see in preseason if Mosley's back where he was, if Gerard Davis is going to pan out. Because again, he was a high draft pick. He went I think it was 22nd or 23rd overall back in 2017. He was supposed to be really good, but he wasn't. So linebacker's interesting. It's kind of wide open. I mean, I really, really like the potential of the rookies, especially Hamza Nasruddin. But man, if Mosley's there, if Gerard Davis is playing well, then that could be a really good linebacking core.
I agree. And then you have, which is even crazier, I don't know how you feel about this. I know how I feel about this. I actually particularly like the secondary for a couple of reasons. Bless Austin, young man out of Rutgers. I think he's actually a lot more talented than what people give him credit for. Ashton Davis, he's from Cal. I know a thing or two about him because I'm a Pac-12 guy, so I think he's a heck of an athlete. Marcus May out of Florida a couple years back. We've seen this guy in action. I like what he brings to the table. Bryce Hall. Now, the other corner, Bryce Hall out of Virginia, the youngest of a bunch, if I'm not mistaken. They all got them right now listed as starters, but solid. But then we got to kind of go back a little bit. Okay, so first things first, we're forgetting to add in guys like Jason Pinnock, which, may work his way up to a starter, or at least in the rotation, depending on... And the cool part about having a lot of really talented DBs is you can have all kinds of sub-packages. Why not take out for a play or two, sit Cashman and throw in one of these corners or one of these hard-hitting safeties as a nickel? Now you have so much variety.
Exactly the point. That's what we're talking about with these hybrid defenses. You're not going to know. Is Nasruddin, he could play safety. He could play up at the line as a box. He could drop back in coverage. There's so much versatility here. It's hard to prepare for hybrid defenders. It literally feels like Robert Saleh, he's coaching what football is going to. And I just love it.
Same here. I think he's a great athlete. So you have guys like Lamarcus Joyner, a little older, but you got some veteran presence now, a little bit more. I mean, you guys have some solid players. So Corey Ballantyne as well, another guy who I think gets overlooked out of Washburn, the FCS player coming in a few years ago. So regardless, talk to us about the secondary. What do you like, dislike? Tell me all kinds of good things, man.
So here's what's interesting. With the Jets secondary, that's the biggest, knock-up from everybody. Everyone's biggest thing is they're very worried about the secondary. They're very worried about the corner situation. And I don't think they necessarily should be. And that's been my take on it. And specifically at slot corner. Like, last year we had Brian Poole, who you mentioned left the team. And Brian Poole was one of the best slot corners in the NFL. Well, Javelin Guidry was an undrafted guy, young kid, comes in for Poole when he got hurt. Man, that team didn't skip a beat. That team didn't look any worse. In fact, in PFF grading, Guidry came in just a couple of points under Poole, who's like 7 years older than him, as an undrafted guy. Like, he looked really good. So I always thought, they're not bringing in Poole because they have him, and he looked really good. Well, this year we drafted Michael Carter, and Michael Carter, I think, is an excellent slot corner. Was a really, really good pickup. Again, that idea of, interchangeable pieces. He played safety in college. Joe Douglas drafted him to be a slot corner. And so far, he's looked like the starter. So between him and Javelin Guidry, I think that interior is better than people think. And again, we talk about that hybrid ability. You could have guys like Gerard Davis or C.J. Mosley and Hamza Nasruddin locking down the interior of the field as linebackers. But now you also have burners in guys like Guidry and Carter. Guidry runs a 4.29 40, and Carter runs a 4.3 40. Like, these two guys are keeping up with everybody. So you have them. They can blanket the interior of the field. So that's really exciting. I think our slot corner situation is definitely underappreciated because people are worried about our outside corners, but again, they really shouldn't be. I pointed this out, like with Bryce Hall. I wanted this kid. Like, next to Mekhi Becton, he was probably my second favorite pick in that draft. Like, I thought he could potentially go in the third round, maybe even the fourth. Well, the fourth round, maybe even the third. Because he was excellent at Virginia. He was an outstanding zone corner, excellent ball ability, excellent everything, big, physical, but also decently fast. I felt he'd be pretty good. The second we drafted him, like, once this kid starts, he's going to be good. I didn't think he'd be as good as he was. Like, he was legit a CB1 last year in Greg Williams' bad defense, in Adam Gase's bad team. He was a CB1 as a rookie. So if he was that good in a system that bad as a rookie in limited play, that tells me the sky's his limit. That in the right situation, this kid is just going places. And so CB1 isn't as bad as everyone thinks. Now you look at CB2, it's an open competition right now between four guys. You got Bless Austin, who you mentioned, Jason Pinnock, who I talked about before, Isaiah Dunn, who's a really interesting story. That kid is an undrafted kid out of Oregon State. What's interesting is Joe Douglas made him the highest paid undrafted corner in NFL history, which was really a statement, and people pointed that out. Like, okay, Joe's paying him more than any undrafted corner has ever been paid. And in camp, he ran with the ones a little bit, and a lot of the beat writers were impressed. They were talking about him, saying how good he looked. Now, he played for Oregon State, and he wasn't that good, but, after I looked into it a lot and did a little research, Oregon State, unfortunately, wasn't that good. Like, they fired their head coach. They only had one win. So I think the belief is that he has a lot of potential, but just needs to be molded because he's a good size at 6'1", 195. He's fast. He's got good coverage. From what I said, the beat reporters were really impressed with him when he played in camp. And then a dark horse is Lamar Jackson. We have an undrafted guy from last year out of Nebraska, Lamar Jackson, who again got beat over the top by speed guys, but just like Bryce Hall, just like Jason Pinnock, that's what happens when you're in a bad scheme with Greg Williams. Those guys shouldn't be on burners. The Javelin Guidrys of the world, the Michael Carters, they're the ones that cover the burners. So, yeah, I think Lamar Jackson, just like Jason Pinnock, are big, physical corners that can cover basically, anybody that's not, just a linear deep threat, really. They can physically cover anyone, which is what you want. So Lamar Jackson also last year had the lowest missed tackle percentage of any Jets player, even as an undrafted guy who only looked okay. But again, he's an undrafted player. So it's interesting. With Bryce Hall, again, with all that potential, the slot corners being better than people are giving them credit for, it's really just that CB2 spot. And what I've been saying is that the competition, if one of those four guys steps up, just one of them, if just one of them looks good, then our cornerback position is not as bad as everyone thinks it is.
Absolutely. And okay, so I'll tell you right now, I'm loving the analysis. But unfortunately, I know we've gone pretty much way over. My apologies to Harrison. But let's go ahead and chop to the end, man, because we're pretty much at the end anyway. But, dude, this has been, ladies and gentlemen, hit that applause button, man. Harrison, thanks, everybody. Oh, my gosh. This amazing stuff. I can talk football with you for hours, and I can talk football, and, well, this is what happened. So I don't blame you. It's all good, brother. We are solid. But I do want to get to the Stick It To Them segment, man. So go ahead and give us a short and sweet, but you have some teams that you're not too fond of, and there are 3 other teams that aren't too fond of you in this AFC East. Go ahead and tell us, man. You're the final Stick It To Them of the entire 8 divisions and 8-day series of 2021. Tell us how you think the other 3 teams are going to do this year, and of course, tell us how you really feel about them. You can be nice and kind, polite, or mean, nasty, however you want to do it, or a mixture of both, respectful, however you want to do it. With that said, Harrison, stick it to them.
I am happy to, and I'll go through it quick. So, starting with the New England Patriots, whether they want to accept it or not, their dynasty's over. The reign is now done. Tom Brady had his reign. They had their 20 years of outstanding excellence. Look at all the NFL throughout history. Every single dynasty, the Cowboys, the Steelers, pick any one, the 49ers. They were a fluke, obviously, with Steve Young, but after him. After their dynasty ended, it was a period of bad. It was a period of a decade or so of bad to kind of, balance out the scale. And we all thought that, Belichick is the one that made Brady. But they're not looking that good, and Brady's now won another Super Bowl. So the story's kind of changing now to maybe it was the other way around. And maybe it was Brady that made Belichick. So the Patriots, the dynasty's over. I mean, they can have some good seasons, but the dynasty is now done. They had their time as other people's time in the sand now. And I hate to say it, Buffalo looks like one of those teams. Buffalo, Josh Allen has impressed the hell out of me. I figured that kid was going to be a bust out of college, and credit he would have been if he didn't change his game around. That kid is a totally different quarterback than he was his rookie year. He did the opposite of Sam Darnold and went from, nothing to everything and put all the work in and became something special. So I hate to admit it because I hate the Bills. I really do. I hate the Bills very passionately. But they look like a very, very dominant team right now. The Dolphins, I don't think they're as good as many think. I think, Tua, he has to be good. It really comes down to him being good. We have these issues now with Xavier Howard coming out. I don't know if that team is really... I don't know if they're there yet. I think the Jets are getting there. I think the Bills are kind of there. And I think the Patriots are going to keep their slow, steadily decline as they fall from the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me sound that thunder real fast, man. Awesome stuff. Harrison, please tell everybody what you think this year now for the Jets, what you think they're going to be able to do, of course. You don't have to give us final record if you don't want to. However you want to give it to us. And then, of course, let all these diehard Jets fans know where to find you, man, and all your great podcasts.
Definitely, without a doubt, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. So with the Jets record, it's interesting because, again, we have all rookies across the board. A rookie head coach, a rookie offensive coordinator, a rookie quarterback. So volatile, the best way to describe this situation. I look at it as it can go 2 different ways. I don't think it's going to go badly. I think, again, I've said how much I have confidence in Zach Wilson. It may not be immediate because there is a major learning curve getting to the NFL. But he's impressed the hell out of me so far, which is, I expect him to be good. But again, there's unbelievable reviews from him saying that, people are saying he doesn't even just look like a rookie. He just looks good. Like, period, just looks good. Coaches say he doesn't get tired of learning. He's learning the system's fast. He's getting better and better and better every day. So with, the team that's been built, the amazing free agency we had, the amazing draft, I think if they come out of the gate and they play great and Zach Wilson looks like what he can be quick, I think this could be a 9-10 win team. I really, really do. I mean, everything has to come together, but it's very possible. And if that happens and the Jets make the playoffs, immediately Robert Saleh's coach of the year. If the Jets, after this decade of defunct, makes the playoffs, it's a lock that Robert Saleh's coach of the year. But what I think is more realistic is probably somewhere between 6 to 8 or 6 to 9. It's kind of where I'm leaning toward. Because again, the Jets last year, fell ass backwards in the 3 wins. So I'm thinking it's going to be more 6 to 9-ish. But if that's the case for me, I just want to see, things moving in the right direction. Because, as I say and many say, Rome wasn't built in a day. This team is coming from nothing, from horrible GMs that couldn't draft, that couldn't cultivate talent. This team is being built slowly and steadily. I think, again, the right pieces are already there, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So as long as, the team is looking better, they're jiving together. Zach Wilson is making better reads, better decisions. He's playing better week by week. That's what I'm looking for. I'm thinking it's going to be more in that middle range, but I just want to see, things moving in the right direction, Wilson getting better, not getting worse, but getting better. But at the same time, man, like I said, Wilson comes out of the gate hot, which I really think he's the man. I really love his potential. If he comes out great, the team jives well together, all the talent is there. So it's possible. This team could definitely make a run.
Well, I think that you have definitely convinced myself and a lot of others, so I'm going to have to do some reanalysis now on this entire division. But with that said, Harrison, where can these diehard Jets fans find you, man?
Oh, without a doubt, man. So I run my own Jets company. It's called Take Flight Media. You can find us online at our website at takeflightmedia.org. There we have Jets articles, writings on everything. You can find me on Twitter. I do a lot of takes there. I provide media, interviews, takes on the Jets, videos, everything. That's at NY Jets, TF Media. But one of my favorite things I do is my podcast every Monday night. It's live on YouTube, which is so much fun because it's live. I interact with you guys. The fans come in. I chat with you guys. I comment with you guys. I bring your comments up on the screen, your questions. I answer questions. It's a great time. So that's every Monday night live on YouTube. It's the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. Please subscribe to the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys Monday night.
Monday night it is. Thanks again, Harrison. You have been awesome. We appreciate your time today, brother. Take care. God bless you and your family, man. I look forward to talking with you very soon, man. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you, man. It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Take care, man. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Take care.
Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, Harrison Glazer. My goodness, almost an hour long. Was not expecting that, but it's all good. This show has been fun. We got to hightail it out of here and get to the final win, but man, that was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. All 30 teams are finished, and we are out with a bang, and that is it. My final weigh-in is coming up next. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, inclusion of the AFC week with the AFC East and the conclusion of 8 divisions in 8 days. Right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
love college football? And do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well, then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. As always, those primetime face-offs are coming up this season. Cannot wait for those. But I'll tell you right now, one of the best things about football season has become those primetime face-offs because, man, they are so much fun. So, with that said, can we get a round of applause, y'all? All 32 teams are in the books. A diehard fan for every one of them. And we have completed 8 divisions in 8 days. Yes, it has been awesome. It has been absolutely awesome. And I'll tell you right now, I could not be more excited than to have got this completed and to have finally gotten through this. Now, I mean, unfortunately, it's funny because the last couple of years, I've always seemed to get some kind of something through this entire series. In the last 2 years, like, either I'll get sick at the end, or I won't have time, or something will happen. Last year, we even skipped one of the divisions. It was nuts, because I could only get 7 shows done for some reason. It was crazy. And this year, I did not get through unscathed again, because this gosh damn cold got me. But it's all good, because at least we got it done, and here we are today, finishing it up. So, with that said, you guys, my final weigh-in on the AFC East. Okay, I'll tell you right now, big ups to every one of those guests today. I mean, how about Patty's poem, you guys? That was pretty cool hearing that earlier, right? Giving her poem about the Bills. Brandon getting crazy to start things off, of course. Then you have Patty with that poem. Then Josh Ritter being crazy right back to Brandon on the AFC East. And then sounding off at the end, just great football talk. I mean, yes, we were talking Jets, but man, we were talking like formation. We were talking technique. We were talking alignment. Just great things with Harrison. So I'll tell you right now, it has been great. It really has. And well, I could not be more excited than to get things going on with this conclusion. So, this is always 2 tough weeks, and it's so hard getting through them, but damn it, when we do, it feels so good. So it is time for that final weigh-in, you guys. Make sure to get on over to IE Sports Radio. At IE Sports Radio, scroll down and cast your vote for who you think is going to win this the division this season. And then, of course, get on over to 3 and Out. That's at 3 and Out, all spelled out, IESR, and scroll down for your favorite trash talker, of course. Once again, for your favorite trash talker to vote on who you thought was the best Ticket to 'Em segment today. So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm not going to do nothing today, guys, with no depth chart, none of that. I'm just going to give it to you straight from this because we have a little bit of time left. Plain and simple, you guys. Plain and simple. Okay. Let's take a look at this Jets team. Seriously, they're not as bad as we think they are. But then again, the margin for error is so small in the NFL. It really is. And it's crazy to think that the NFL, the smallest little slip up, the smallest tenth of a second that one player is faster than the other is literally the difference between why this defense is better than this defense, or why this offense is better than this offense. I mean, seriously, or why this player is better than this player. So that is the margin. So as I would say, nobody sucks in the NFL because they're all there. But some are better than others, and that's where those little distinctions come in between. So the Jets definitely have a team, and they're strong. I'm really excited to see what they got in the field this year. And we know what they've got. We know how good that defense can be because they've been good in the last couple of years, but that offense has been horrific. Have they found their man yet? We shall see. The man behind center. Then we take a look at the Patriots, and we think to ourselves, okay, is the dynasty really over? You know, last year, everyone it was proven that Belichick did need Brady. However, Belichick is still Belichick. So whatever you want to say to that guy or say about him, Belichick is still the man. And as long as he's coaching there, I seriously think they're still going to be a dominant team and they're going to be scary. As we talked about earlier, and as I seen Taryn put in the chat room earlier, yeah, when you have 8 guys that opt out because of COVID last year, and they're like your 8 starters of 11 on your defense, it's definitely not going to be the best. So, excuse me, freaking cough. So, overall, you guys, the biggest thing we can look at is what these teams are made of. Excuse me. The Buffalo Bills are certainly a top-notch football team. You know, speaking of the Buffalo Bills and how well they've gotten and how good they've gotten, seriously, it's not hard to distinct from them. What I want to say about the Buffalo Bills is, can these Bills duplicate what they've been able to do recently? See, the Bills have a solid team that was able to make one stellar season last year. But can it be done again? I would like to say the Bills are the new top dog in this division. But now that Belichick has his team back together, for the most part, they're moving pieces around, I'm not going to hand them that crown just yet, saying that they're dominant. I can't. Because the Patriots are not going down without a fight. As for the Dolphins, that team has gotten immensely better in the last couple of years. Regardless, are they there yet? Are they to a point to where they can actually compete for this division and actually be relevant? That's a different story. So you have these 4 teams. My thoughts are this. My thoughts are very simple. It's not going to be an easy task for any of these teams to win the division this year. Because I think they're all actually pretty equal. And so go ahead and crucify me for saying that. But I seriously do think that each of these teams are just within a little bit apart from each other. I guess all depends on the man behind the wheel, of course, the head coach. And it all depends on scheme and just the things. It depends on football. I think the skill level and the talent level, a lot of this is very equal. But really, I guess, really does depend on coaching, I think, right now. And Terrence is here in the chat room. The entire AFC East are on paper teams. Yeah. Everyone looks good on paper, but can everyone put it into motion? And I think that's a great statement. So, overall, it seems like we have a fun division here. We really do this year to watch. A very, very fun division. Okay. By the way, all the votes are in, and it's 50-50. Brandon Harrison actually split it 50-50, which was the two winners for the Stick It To Him Award, so congratulations to them. And, of course, we're going to get on over here to who you guys thought won the division, because, well, this is a very, in my opinion, a tough question to ask. Who do you think is going to win the division this year? So, the voting polls are in. Look at everybody who voted. 56% of you are taking the Bills. 33% of you are taking the Patriots. 11% of you are taking the Miami Dolphins. And 0% of you are taking the Jets. Okay. Very simple to me. I see it like this. Whoever can establish themselves fast enough this season. I seriously feel that this is... I seriously feel like this is going to be that race to who gets out of the gates first. Because once you get that momentum going, it's a real thing for guys. And it gets triggered so much. One of these teams get out to a 5-0 start or something like that, it's going to start mentally messing with the other teams. However, I mean, it can and it can't. I'm just saying, if you get out of the gates early, leave no room for error early, you can make errors later. Not that you want to, but if you stumble out of the gates in this division, it's so close to where even if you finish a close second, third, or fourth, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It no matter how close you are, you're still second, third, or fourth. And the goal is always number one. So, with that said, y'all, one more time for 8 divisions in 8 days. Cue the music, because we're out of here. All right, y'all. My final win will look a little something like this. I want to go ahead and say that they are scary, they are tough. There's a lot of things put in motion, but I gotta see it. As you know me, in football, there's a couple things I just gotta see to start believing in. And that's why I'm putting the Jets, unfortunately, again in the basement, but I want to see them come back to full circle. This time next year, depending on how good they do this year, it'll be a very different conversation. But as of right now, we got the Jets between 6 and 8 wins. Other than that, or after that, I have the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I have between 7 and 10 wins. Can they win 10 games? Of course. Will they? Probably not. They'll probably be in the range of 7 games. They're rebuilding, but they're getting better. And then there were 2. I want to say so bad, I want to say that the Patriots are going to win it this year. But I gotta go with the Bills. The reason being is because the Bills last year have put confidence, and they're barely going to edge out the Patriots this year, at least in my opinion. Now, guess what? With that defense back together, it could be very different. I'm going to say the Patriots, if they do lose this year, that title again, or if they don't redeem their title, I would say it's going to be either or. Patriots and Bills together between 12 and 13, maybe 14 games apiece. And seriously, it's going to be like 12-4, like seriously, 12-5. Okay, 13 wins, whatever that would be. That stupid 17th win. All I'm saying is I seriously think that's what's going to end up happening. We're going to have one game that day. It might come down to that final week where they want that rivalry. All I'm saying is the Patriots did not count them out. Because I have the Bills winning the conference, the division, doesn't mean that the Patriots won't be in the playoffs and they can deep run. I seriously think that both of these teams are going to be strong this year. We might see them match up again in the playoffs at some point. All I'm saying is this is a great division to watch, and I'm very excited for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude 8 divisions in 8 days right here on 3 and Out. My goodness, thank you to everybody who's been a part of this thing. We appreciate y'all. Y'all brought the thunder. Y'all brought the laughs. You rung the bells, and I'm just going to get this sound effect to use from. But ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all. It has been a great series this season. And well, we're getting ready for 3 and Out. Coming up, y'all. Stay tuned, because we will see you coming up this season. Thank you all. This is me, your boy Larry B. signing off. I'll see y'all soon for the season. Right here on 3 and Out. Right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direction for all that is sports. Y'all take care. I'll see y'all soon. God bless.